It's going to be an amazing show that is all about the fans. Also, when you go to rtfsportsnetwork.com, make sure to vote for On and Off the Field as the show of the month for April. If we win that, money is going to charity. You can count on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Are you ready? I said, are you ready? You're rocking with the heavyweight champs of sports talk.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Brandon Way and Brandon Rudolph.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
Tune in to Opinionated Facts, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on the RTF Sports Network.
What's going on, everybody? Whether you're practicing social distancing of 6 feet up to 6 miles, you can still party with On and Off the Field, where you can listen to the best NFL and charity-based podcasts out there on the RTF Sports Network. You can follow them on Facebook or go to rtfsportsnetwork.com and check out the show Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
The snow is melting and it's starting to warm.
Is this for the new commercial?
This is the new commercial. We're recording. Why is it you always cut me off?
Guys, calm down. Let's just start it over.
It's too late. We have to start our show, which is Twist, the weekend sports talk, where you can hear banter like this with sports and interviews. Hear us on the RTF Sports Network, Mondays at 8 Eastern. Also, like our page on RTF Sports Network and check us out at rtfsportsnetwork.com.
Coming up next here on the RTFSportsNetwork.com radio network is Twist, This Week in Sports Talk, with your host, Mike Reeves.
Twist Nation. Twist Nation. So this was with a twist, no script. We just coming through on the guest list. Tasting in the soda like the lakes, full Green Bay. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, let's go with the wolves. You know we don't play. We get wild every single day. We got our flaws, but we love our saints. Twist Nation. Twist Nation. Do it like our page. Twist Nation. Twist Nation. Twist Nation. Twist Nation.
What up, what up, what up? You're always burying your head in the computer when we're doing the intro, and Mike and I are animated.
He does almost the same thing every week. It's a beautiful thing. I just let you guys
It's called
enjoy
consistency, and it's called Twist, the weekend sports talk, episode 24. Kobe! R.I.P. We actually have some Kobe news today.
Yeah.
So we're live right now on Facebook, on Twist Sports Talk, on the RTF Sports Network, our affiliate.
Yep.
You can also find us at Twist Sports Talk on all the social media platforms. And, of course, our website. Greg, what's our website?
Something, twistsportstalk.com.
Yeah, sorry.
Greg's not big
don't
on
ask
the social
Wisconsinites
networking
questions here.
and,
So
yeah, that's
unbelievable. So how you fellas doing today?
we're good. We're great.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
A little rainy out, but, great day to be sports are coming back. So it's like we're actually going to have, like, real stuff to talk about.
Hopefully.
We do have a great show lined up for you. We have a guest interview who was there and disappeared, so we will wait a minute to bring him on. All of our interviews are brought to you by
Bricks.
Boatworks. They are deemed essential, just like everybody else starting Monday. We're back to work. I got back to work last week. Ben's has been working.
Been out there.
Greg's been trying to work on a belly, but his metabolism at his age still works for some reason. We were just talking before the show, his cholesterol level is probably going to bring him down a little bit. He might not be here when the Vikes win their first Super Bowl. So.
How old do you expect me to live? 130?
Oh, jabs.
I thought you were already there.
No, I'm getting close, though.
Yeah.
My daughter told me this morning not to worry, that I'm not even to midway point of my life yet.
Really?
To which I said, how long do you want me to live?
Oh.
That's asking a lot of me.
I really hope that your value of living, or what is it called? Your
value of life.
Quality of life
yeah.
is good at $1.50.
Yeah,
I think it will be good.
It's like, Dad, you're not even to the halfway point. I'm like, that means I'm going to be over 88. I don't know if I really want that.
Well, that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
If you're healthy, I wouldn't mind living to, 314.
I'm healthy.
As long as I can still throw some disc
as
and
long
play
as you
some
can
golf.
still dunk, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
44 of them, Duncan.
Yeah, I don't believe it. So let's get to our first guest interview to kick off the show. Like I said, we have a great show lined up for you. We have a new game, and I think Doge might have a chance this week. So we're bringing on Stan Norfleet. You can find him at Stan Fleet Sports. He played some D1 college football at Virginia. He's a sports talk host, football analyst, and sports opinionist.
Yeah.
Let's bring him on.
Stan the man, what's going on?
Fellas, what's happening? Greetings from the nation's capital.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Welcome in, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Were you having some technical difficulties? I saw you
I don't know, man. Bro, it's crazy. Like, we're all, doing these different chat rooms and videos. And who the hell knows, bro? We are beholden to what's going on in the sky. So here I am. I'm locked in, man. Appreciate you guys having me again.
Yeah, of course. So I had mentioned kind of introducing you. You played some college ball at Virginia. How was that whole process, the recruitment, getting there, playing, that whole thing?
Well, my situation was crazy because I went to 3 different high schools. I started my high school career in the state of Alabama, actually, which is where my mother's side of the family is from. So I did freshman, sophomore year in Alabama. After my freshman season, Tennessee started recruiting me. So I was, embedded in SEC country, whatever. We ended up moving to Charlotte, which is my hometown. And some of those same schools came around. I think at the end of it, I ended up being a 4-star prospect. And at the end of it, I think I had something like 63 scholarship offers. And it was weird because it was everybody from like Harvard to the Air Force Academy and, Notre Dame, Penn State, and then you had Virginia. At that time, they were a top 25 program. They were the nation's #1 public institution, top 25 nationally recognized college and university. He just put Patrick Kearney at my position to the Falcons in the first round. So I was like, add it all up, I'm in. Let's go. And we've ridden the roller coaster since then.
So you think there's going to be a season this year?
I was just listening to Urban Meyer on a podcast coming in, getting ready for you guys. And I do think at some point they're going to play college football. I think that, first of all, let's be clear. We just talked about reference to the SEC. The Southeastern Conference is going to play football no matter what. Like, that's happening. Yeah. That's big boy balls, a lot of revenue. They understand that. That's going to happen, I presume, scheduled. The other Power Fives, I would say probably. Now, I get a little cautious when I think about up your way, right? Big Ten country. I hear that the viruses typically don't cooperate in terms of the virus moving forward and in warmer climates. So I think perhaps in the warmer states. Now, it's been proposed that some of these schools or some of these conferences, they're only going to play conference games. But, they're only going to play conference games that matter in a certain vicinity. I don't know. I've heard all type of crazy game plans. Do I think we're going to play mostly? Yes. Some of those smaller Division II schools or even some of those FCS programs, I'm not sure, man.
Yeah, it will definitely be tough. You know, I mean, there is so much revenue in it, and obviously, you know, it's big for these student athletes' future. Obviously, you want to play in order to get on to the next level. So I think they'll make it happen. It's also that tough thing about, well, if this season starts late and then next season starts on time,
there you go.
What is the incentive for these first rounders potentially next year to play this shorter season? You know, the risk of injury and things like that. It'll be interesting to see for sure.
I think it's critical. If I could, one other point on this, I think it's critical, having been on the business side of collegiate athletics as well, working for IMG College at the University of Kentucky. Let's just be clear. Even at basketball schools like Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, football makes the money. Now, you have other programs like Duke basketball clearly makes money, but they don't make the revenue that football does. That comes from TV deals, that comes from bowl games, and the revenue sharing that happens being associated with the college football playoff. So when you add all this up, there are going to be not just programs, and I'll use my alma mater, University of Virginia. The athletic department, first of all, is self-funded. We don't use any money from the state to take care of anybody's scholarship at Virginia. There are a lot of Power 5 schools that do the same thing. With that being said, the athletic department at UVA also cuts the school back a very hefty check every year. So that brand new sociology lab and library and biology and all the crap that we may not use, a lot of that is coming from dudes kicking off on Saturday. So I always implore sports fans to show the respect to the guys that are out there on Saturday paying the bills, essentially.
So we do have Green Bay Greg here. You know, he's our
Green Bay Greg. That's funny.
if our camera was wider and we'd able to do it, you know, he'd be sitting over there in the corner. But as it is, he's here with us. So playing at Virginia, did you have a chance to play against his squad, Wisconsin?
Yeah, we opened up against Wisconsin. They did like a coach's classic kickoff. This is 2001. Rained like hell, lightning everywhere. It was like an hour and a half delay. And I believe Lee Evans was the receiver. He torched us. Taylor, I believe, was the running back, had a very good day. And you'd be pleasantly surprised. Like UVA, we've had over the years, a lot of people, when they think UVA, they think Rondé and Tiki Barber. Chris Long was after me. Heath Miller was a guy that I played with. So we've had our share of NFL guys that come through there, first-round guys. Thomas Jones was, I think he finished 6th behind Rondé. The year Rondé won the Heisman Trophy, what's that, 1999 season. So we've had our guys, but, man, we went down there to Camp Randall, and it was just an ugly game start the year. It was the first year of our new head coach, Al Groh. So Al Groh leaves New York Jets. He was the head coach for the Jets for one season, comes back to Charlottesville, his alma mater. And it was a bumpy start, but we ended up getting it rolling. I think Chris Long and those guys got up to, like, number 5 in the country around 2004 or so. So that's my memory of Camp Randall. We didn't win the game. Beautiful facility, beautiful stadium, but, yeah, Barry Alvarez kicked our ass.
Greg's dad knows the Watt family well, obviously, JJ.
Oh, boy.
We call him Justin James here. That's Greg's fake best friend. What are your thoughts on JJ, Justin James, out of Wattage?
So how did this go? So I played my 5th year at Texas Southern, Strahan's alma mater down in Houston. They paid for the Masters. Al Groh and I just didn't see eye to eye. It really was a football philosophy. I had never played in a 3-4 defense before until Al Groh brought that to Charlottesville. So I had to try and learn to stand up, and J.J. Watt obviously plays in a 3-4 in Houston and has for a very long time. This will be Anthony Weaver's first year as defensive coordinator in Houston, so he's going to still employ a lot of those 3-4 principles, so J.J. will be comfortable. I say all to say that was my integration into Houston. Actually worked for the Texans, worked for the Rockets after completing grad school there in Houston. So I know the Texans organization very well. Have not met JJ, but have done a lot of radio and still do in the Houston market. And they always give me some stuff about Justin James. Look, JJ is a badass. We all understand that. I'm not taking anything away from the man. But I'm not ready to put him in the same class with Lawrence Taylor and Deion Sanders and Reggie White. Like, hold on now. And the reason why, and people always say, Stan, quit hating on the white dude because he's a baller. I'm not hating on the dude because he's white, right? JJ's a badass. I just think that, and we get into this with Michael Jordan too. I think we're going to talk about MJ in a little bit too.
Yep.
Some of our athletes and even our celebrities, right? We put them in this bubble and we create this force field that is impenetrable because they're so likable. And for whatever reason, it's like you can't criticize or critique their performance without being viewed as a hater for them as an individual. And I'm like, no, I separate who you are as a dude. JJ raised a ton of cash for the people affected by Hurricane Harvey down in the Gulf South. So I will always respect that, right? I believe in giving back. I believe in leveraging the platform to do what you can to help people. And regardless of what you read or hear, I don't have anything against anybody. You understand? But also get paid to, or at least used to, I used to get paid to give my opinion on the football analysis. And JJ has not consistently performed at the level of those other men I mentioned. Dion was all-decade team for 2 decades. Reggie White. Lawrence Taylor, when you start talking about a guy like Lawrence Taylor changed conventional blocking schemes of the time. All that side protection, chipping, keeping the tight end in the block, all that was for Reggie White. He literally made offensive coordinators go back to the drawing board and reconfigure how we do this. JJ isn't quite on that level, but he is a baller.
Yep. Let's stay in the NFL. I know you did some business development for the Cowboys and just following your social media, which you can follow Stan at Stan Sportsman, both on Twitter.
God bless you. I appreciate that. Yeah, man.
So speaking of the Cowboys, what's your take on kind of the Dak Prescott situation?
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
This is probably the number one topic that I'm burning on in all of sports right now. Everybody's talking last dance and all we gonna play and I get all that. You got to cover your base. But man, this Dak Prescott ordeal. So let me ask you this, and it's crazy you're interviewing me, but I'm asking you. Yes or no? Would you guys pay Dak the money that is reported he's asking for? Or let me rephrase the question: is Dak Prescott a top 5 quarterback in this league?
No.
Would you pay him as a top 5 quarterback in this league?
Yes.
Why?
Because we paid Kirk Cousins.
Who else do you have?
We're going to come back to Kirk. Captain Kirk, we're going to come back there. Who else do I have?
Yeah, Jerry Jones, he's trying to win now. And with Dak, I think they screwed up last year by feeding into Zeke. When you sign an offensive lineman, a middle linebacker, and a running back, those are all positions that you can replace. A quarterback is not. When you have a quarterback who's 26 years old, who's won playoff games for you, you have to make
one playoff game, singular, one playoff game.
Whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
So, okay, I did ask your opinion, and I see where you guys are. All right, so let's look at this. And I think the person that has been as passionate in terms of a diametrically opposed position to me on this topic is Shannon Sharp, if you watch FS1. Shannon Sharp is so pro-pay Dak Prescott. So here's the money in the contract that is reported by some folks in Dallas that I trust. Mike Fisher is somebody that you might want to look up. It's reported that Dak Prescott has been offered $35 million a year with $106 million guaranteed, and the Cowboys are trying to make that a 5-year deal. $35 million a year is where Russell Wilson gets paid. It'd be top of the market money. $106 million guaranteed. And we got to get into a different conversation of what's guaranteed versus fully guaranteed. A lot of time fans read that and they misconstrue what that actually means. But I'll come back to that. 106 fully guaranteed. It's like $1 million less than Jared Goff, and it's like $4 million less than Carson Wentz. Ironically, they're all the same draft class. So here I am. When you look at the guys that are in the top 10, certainly the top 5, highest paid in the National Football League. Here's what you'll find. They've either been MVP, played in a Super Bowl, or won a Super Bowl. That doesn't fit that description. And if you look at what's happening right now, the college game is producing better quarterbacks that are ready to play sooner than they used to be. So I can look in this draft, and Jared's in a position to go, look, not only do I have a backup in Andy Dalton, a guy that's won playoff games, a guy that's a serviceable starter, look at the weapons that I have around him. We're still a playoff team, Dak, with or without you. Now, you haven't proven that you can carry us. If I'm paying you $35 million a year, I need you to be able to carry us over the finish line, like Russell Wilson has done since the Legion of Boom, like Aaron Rodgers does, like Tom Brady does when his receivers, that cast of bandits that he had last year, like, you got to be able to elevate people. Now, Dak is a fantastic leader. I love all of his intangibles. He upset me with some of that, we're doing the whole Kaepernick, are we going to kneel, are we going to stand? He upset me a little bit with that because I thought he had the platform and the position to be more vocal on social issues. Part of my issue with Michael Jordan, we'll get to that again here in a little bit. I would not pay that top five money in the market. It's just proven when you pay a guy like that, it doesn't work. And so Kirk Cousins has been vocal, right? Kirk Cousins said that, hey, man, bet on yourself. It worked for me. I got franchise tagged twice, and then somehow, some way, who's my guy, GM of the Vikings? Why can I not say it?
Rick Spielman, the best GM
there we go.
ever created by God himself.
So Rick Spielman decides, okay, Captain Kirk, here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit you with what? What is it, 94? Is it 94 million, 3 years guaranteed?
Yeah.
I can't do it, Dak. I can't do it. Now, Dak is, and here's why, and lastly, I think Dak is in trouble. He's right now tied to the franchise tag, which he has not signed. I don't know about you guys, but everything that I see on the news tells me the financial markets and the salary cap for the National Football League this upcoming season is unstable. We have no idea where the revenues are going to come in at next year. That impacts the salary cap. Number two, we talked about the college game. Here comes Trevor Lawrence. Here comes Justin Fields. Here comes Jamie Newman. It's going to be at Georgia. North Dakota State has another. Go say that again.
Tanner Morgan. Yep. Quarterback.
Tanner Morgan is the name that I've heard. Yep. Here comes other guys. Look around the league, Dak. Who needs a quarterback that's willing to pay you that type of money? Who needs a quarterback right now? Jacksonville? Right, because they have a history of paying dudes top of the market money, right?
What?
Yannick Ngakoue, their best pass rusher, all pro, he wants out of there right now. Dak, where are you going to go? New England? When's the last time Belichick paid somebody top of the line, top of the market money? Dak he's played chicken and his time has expired. Coming back to Kirk Cousins, then I'll be done with that part. Kirk Cousins was the first quarterback in the history of the league to be franchise tagged back-to-back years. So you want Dak to be an anomaly, to do it twice? So he's got to get through 2 healthy seasons to try and do what Kirk did. It's a bad formula. Dak, you just buried your brother. May he rest in peace. Your older brother, Chase. Dak, on your coffee table is a contract for 9 figures. Brother, you're a 4th-round draft pick. Take the money. It just makes sense.
So we're talking with Stan Norfleet right now. Again, you can find him at Stan Sportsmans. All of our interviews are brought to you by Bricks Boatworks. Yes. So let's stick with quarterbacks in the NFL. Cam Newton, been to the Super Bowl, former MVP, number 1 overall pick. He's homeless. Why?
It's funny. So you asked the second topic that I'm most passionate about when it comes to the National Football League right now. All right, so a little bit of background. I mentioned that Charlotte is kind of hometown. And so I've covered the Panthers doing some local radio there in Charlotte on WFNZ for 4 years. We did the ACC content out of Charlotte, so I'm very familiar with the Panthers organization. I also, again, originally from Atlanta, southwest side of the city, the same neighborhood as Cam Newton. Needless to say, I'm extremely tight with the Cam Newton camp. Now, the things that I'm about to tell you, I cannot report that they came from him per se, all right? But this is the overall thought process. Cam Newton is one of the most polarizing figures we've ever had in the history of the NFL, the modern history of the NFL, right? The Charlotte community didn't want him coming out of school. Remember, he had the whole laptop and had to transfer from Florida, and was he on the tape to get to Auburn and all of that? I don't care about any of that. What I care about is when we strap up this helmet, do you lead men to victory? And the bottom line for me is this, and you can go look at it for yourself. Cam Newton's the only player in the history of the NFL to be the franchise leader in both passing and rushing. Vic didn't do it. Lamar may get there. He's off to a damn good start. You also look at if Cam continues his projection in the next 2 seasons, he will pass Michael Vick in rushing yards career for a quarterback, and he'll also pass Steve Young in passing yards. My point, Cam Newton is a 30-year-old former MVP that is about to be the best dual-threat quarterback we've ever seen. Why is he out of work? Remember that bubble, that force field we talked about earlier with Justin James Watt and Michael Jordan? Well, yeah, it can work the other way too. One of the things that bothers me about the media, fellas, is we have power. I teach this to young people all the time. The most valuable resource on earth, other than oxygen and water and time, is information, more than money. With the right information, I can always go get more money, okay? Stan, why the hell are you bringing this up? The media has put a lot of misinformation into the marketplace about what Cam Newton is. We don't like how he dressed. Is he focused? I hear Colin Cowherd say every day, Cam is distracted. Tom Brady has a baby out of wedlock. Nobody calls that a distraction. We got to be careful with the stigma and stereotypes that we put on people with the platform that we've been given as pundits. It's dangerous. Have I loved everything that Cam has done? No. There have been some bumps along the way. That being said, people try and tell me, Stan, oh, well, we haven't seen the real Cam in a year and a half. Okay. Did we say that about Brady when he did his knee week 1? Other quarterbacks have been injured. We didn't write Drew Brees off. When his rotator cuff tore the opposite way, Dr. James Andrews down in Alabama said he had never seen an injury like Drew Brees' before. He didn't know where to start. Why is it that Cam, and here's what I believe, because if you go look at his performance, and I'll get off my soapbox, if you go look at his numbers, the first 8 games, the first half season of 2018, Cam was an MVP candidate. He had like a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. His completion percentage was hovering around 70%, and that's coming off of shoulder surgery. I'm going to need people to go watch the tape at the last time we saw Cam healthy. And if you go to his Instagram and you look at him running around, I know it sounds like I'm campaigning for him. I just think it's a shame that a brother that's 30 years old that has been as productive, an MVP, and played in the Super Bowl isn't getting benefit of the doubt. So I can tell you, here's his plan, having spoken with him in the camp. He has never come publicly and says that he turned down any backup jobs. He's never said that. Nor has his representation said that. They've decided that they're going to lay low, stay ready, and if and when somebody goes down during training camp, and here we are on a shortened season, some of these young pups aren't going to be ready to go. Like about Joe Burrow being great, and I wasn't high on Joe Burrow, but they can talk about Joe Burrow being ready. Now, Cincinnati's a little because they don't have playoff aspirations. But I'm thinking about a team like the Denver Broncos. If Drew Lock isn't ready to go, you plug in a guy like Cam Newton, you got a chance to win the AFC. So my whole point is Cam has decided he's going to sit back and wait. But the reason he doesn't have a job is the perception that he's going to be a distraction, kind of like Tim Tebow. Well, we can't have Tim Tebow in the building. His cult following is going to make things difficult for the starter. It's called pro sports. It's showbiz. It ain't called show friends.
I love that. Well, let's get out of the NFL. We'll end on, probably the biggest thing on TV right now, which is The Last Dance. That'll air tomorrow, the final 2 episodes. I know I've tuned in. I think we all have to every single episode. What are your thoughts on kind of the show? And then I know you and I, we're in a different camp other than Michael Jordan.
Yeah. So I won't go on such an extended soliloquy on this one. Look, it's just real simple. Michael Jordan is arguably the greatest competitor we've ever seen, right? We can't call him the greatest champion in team sports we've ever seen because there are other guys that have more rings, right? I used to call him the greatest team sport player I ever seen. Can't call him that anymore. Tom Brady is. As many rings, more final appearances, quite frankly, more championship game appearances, and quite frankly, it's harder to play quarterback in the National Football League than it is to play two guard in the NBA. Overall, Michael Jordan. And for whatever reason, people, again, being Charlotte, Mike is the majority owner of the Charlotte Hornets. I have worked for that organization as well. I've had a lot of damn jobs, I know. So I know that organization well. I don't have an issue with Mike. Mike was not a great person on the floor, in the building. Mike wasn't a great teammate. So I hear Skip Bayless, for example, try and sell me that Michael Jordan's style of leadership, like it's okay to bully people, to disrespect people that you work with for the sake of winning. To me, that's not leadership. Now, I'm not saying you can't get on guys and motivate guys, but why should I have to tear you down to build us up? What leadership is to me is when I can inspire you to want to live up to the very best that you have to offer based on what's within you. I don't think you have to tear people down. Now, on the floor, Mike was fantastic. But here's what separates Mike and LeBron to me. LeBron does, okay, you guys are baseball fans. You'll get this. Why is Mike Trout the best player in the league? He's a 5'2" player, right?
Yep.
Okay. Some people may argue Mookie is, but okay. LeBron James is a 5'2" NBA player. Literally, LeBron James does more things with a basketball better than MJ. Now, some people are going to go to advanced stats, and LeBron wins his fair share of head-to-head advanced stats. I remember watching LeBron James. It was a conference finals the year that Derrick Rose won MVP. And there was a point in that series that Michael told, it was when he was on the Heat. I got him. I'm going to lock him up. And he did. I've never seen Michael Jordan guard power forwards. I've seen LeBron James guard point guards. So that just gives you an idea of how I look at who's the best. Who does most of the stuff at the highest level, key point, for a long duration of time? The bottom line is Michael Jordan quit twice. Now, some people say, Stan, that's unfair. He lost his father. If you go look at the reports, Michael Jordan, during the Dream Team, even before the Dream Team, some said he was going to retire at the conclusion of those Olympics. The pressure was too much for him. The pressure having to be at your best all the time as a global icon. LeBron James has answered that bell as a husband, as a father, as a philanthropist, as a businessman. And oh, by the way, he didn't have a Hall of Fame coach, never has. And oh, by the way, he didn't play alongside of another 50 greatest player in NBA history every year that he won a championship. LeBron hasn't had that luxury. And I challenge anybody, because we're going to talk about Scottie Pippen on the last 2 episodes coming up tomorrow. Do me a favor, guys, if you get a chance, and anybody that's watching, because everybody likes to say LeBron had D-Wade, which he did, right? It's not just having somebody on your roster. Go look at the actual minutes played in playoff basketball, and you'll be surprised. Scottie Pippen played significantly more minutes on the floor with Mike than Dwayne Wade with LeBron. So I'm a LeBron guy.
Yeah, and I never looked at it like that. And I love how you talk about the leadership role, where you don't have to break them down to tear them up. Tony Dungy is one of my favorite coaches of all time.
Love coach. Yeah, man.
He doesn't swear at you. He doesn't swear, period. He doesn't, people respect him based on his knowledge for the game and how he treats his players.
There you go.
And football is a hard sport. I mean, I get it, F you, get up, run faster, this and that.
Right.
But he has won a championship. We love him here too because he was a golfer. But he didn't have that to get respect from his players.
Right.
And I'm going to add this, and you guys didn't do this, but this is just a part of my pedigree as a man of faith. The greatest leader that I've ever read about has the initials JC.
Yep.
And I look at his leadership style. He didn't have to do all of that stuff that Michael Jordan has done. Punching teammates, multiple teammates, getting coaches fired, telling the stewardess not to serve Horace Grant on a flight back from a loss in the playoffs. I can't respect that. Now, on the floor, badass. Got busy, obviously. Had some help. People forget Michael Jordan didn't win a damn thing until Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson showed up. Yep. Michael Jordan got swept in some playoff series leading up to Scottie Pippen and those guys arriving. I'll also give you this. People get on LeBron all the time. Oh, he had to leave to go to Miami to get his rings, right? Okay, I consider that leadership. The people that we revere in the history of this country, they had courage to do what had not been done before. So if you're LeBron, bro, I'm in Cleveland. I've been here for 8 years. I dragged us to the finals as a young buck. Yeah. You've given me nothing, Dan Gilbert, to work with. Michael, however, was in Chicago. NBA guys will go to Chicago. It's a fantastic city, as we all know. Scotty was drafted. Horace drafted. B.J. Armstrong, I believe, was the last piece that was drafted before NBA free agency 1988. I could be off, give or take a year. My point, Mike had the luxury of being in Chicago. Guys will come there. And that team was assembled prior to free agency. If Mike played today, he'd have done the exact same thing that LeBron did. Why? Because he's a competitor. And what does Mike tell us in the last episode? Win at all costs. So then how can we victimize LeBron James?
Love it.
Yeah, that's great. This has been awesome, Stan. We appreciate you coming on. Well-versed. Many jobs made you very smart in who you are. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks for listening to me, guys. I'm sorry to your listenership that I bored you guys for half an hour.
Not at all.
I start preaching, man, and I get on it, man. But God bless everybody, man. Y'all take care over there. Hit me up anytime, man, and I'll be tuned in and singing your praises. I love what you guys do.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks.
Take care, bro. Peace.
Excellent.
Again, you can find him at Stan Sportsman. Yeah, I told you guys, he's very knowledgeable.
Beautiful.
Passionate. Man, you got to love that.
Yep.
Well, let's get the show rolling.
All right, here we go. So we've got our headlines of the week. So number one, Aaron Rodgers says his desire to stay with Packers for an entire career may not be a reality. He said, quote, I think it was more the surprise of the pick based on my own feelings of wanting to play into my 40s and really the realization that it does change the controllables a little bit. He said in a 40-minute conference call. He also stated, because as much as I feel confident in my abilities and what I can accomplish and what we can accomplish, there are some new factors that are out of my control. Interesting.
Wow. And another shocking news, if you wake up early tomorrow morning and look to the east, you'll see the sun rising.
There you go. Excellent. Good job there.
Yeah.
Number two, affidavits clear Seahawks, Quentin Dunbar, Giants, DeAndre Baker in alleged robbery, attorney says. Michael Greco, who represents Dunbar, told ESPN that he has five sworn affidavits from witnesses that say his client was not involved in the alleged incident. Smells like money.
What's crazy about this is these same witnesses the police talked to, and that's how they got the warrants for them. So as soon as the lawyer gets them into a room, it's like breaking them off. You know, he just signed
here's what you did and didn't see.
Yeah, here's a $10 million contract I got last year. Let me make it rain.
So just a little background for those that haven't heard or maybe don't know enough. So DeAndre Baker of the New York Giants and Quentin Dunbar of the Seattle Seahawks are said to have robbed other guests at a Florida house party by gunpoint. About $12,000 in cash and watches worth up to $25,000.
Which is funny when you're showing up to a party in a Lamborghini.
Yeah, that was
rob the place.
The Lambo is their getaway car. Yeah, that's
to rob the place.
That's like Fast and the Furious 28. So that's that.
That's aggressive.
On to number three. Tulia Tagovailoa transfers to Maryland. He has
Big
made his
Ten
decision.
bound.
He is coming to the Big Ten. He entered the transfer portal on May 8th and has found his new home with the Terrapins. So that will be an interesting landing spot for him. On to the last one. Since this is episode 24, let's give it up for some updates on the Kobe crash. It is reported now that, first and foremost, the pilot had no alcohol or drugs in his system, and all 9 people on the flight sustained immediate fatal injuries.
How did they know he didn't have anything in his system when he was incinerated?
Yeah,
I don't think there was a body found.
Well, autopsies revealed. So,
okay. He was sober.
2020 here. So
Let's stick with the professionals on this one.
Yeah.
So still sad thing, but good updates as of that. So that's all I got for this week as headlines.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right.
School's in session.
Time to get learned.
Learning time. All right. May 16th, today in history. Buckle up. 1869, Cincinnati Reds play their first baseball game. They won 41-7. If only baseball still scored like that, maybe it'd be fun. 1894, fire in Boston destroys the baseball stadium and 170 other buildings. Must have been windy. 1920, Joan of Arc canonized a saint. Did I say that word right?
Canonized?
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
History major here.
St. Paul Saint?
No, like the real kind of saint.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought.
Like God's saint.
Okay.
Like, miracles and crap.
In 1927, New York Yankee Bob Musil steals second, third, and home. Unbelievable.
Lucky.
1947, Billie Holiday arrested in her New York apartment for possession of narcotics.
No
way.
Yeah. 1953, Phillies' Kurt Simmons gives up a single and then retires the next 27 in a row.
That's got to suck.
Yeah. How pissed would you be?
Can I take a mulligan?
1955, Black Jack Morris, Baseball Hall of Fame pitcher, was born in St. Paul, Minnesota. Every time I hear St. Paul, it reminds me of the Mighty Ducks. Mike Reeves, Burnsville, Minnesota.
Quack, quack.
Yep. 1964, John Sally, NBA star of the badass Detroit Pistons, was born.
Yikes.
1975, Muhammad Ali KOs Ron Lyle in 11 for heavyweight boxing title. 2 years later, in 77, Ali beats Alfredo Evangelist in 15 for the boxing title. 1980, the 34th NBA championship. The LA Lakers beat the Philadelphia 76ers 4-2. 1985, year I was born. Michael Jordan named Rookie of the Year. Weird. Next year, he tore his ACL and was out. 1986, Top Gun, directed by Tony Scott and starring Tom Cruise, premieres.
Beautiful.
I think the new one's supposed to come out here in about a year or so.
Maverick.
Oh, God.
That's called.
It is called Maverick.
Just a great flick.
Oh, Goose.
Oh,
R.I.P.
Val
Goose.
Kilmer. I modeled my hair.
The Iceman?
I modeled my hair after the Iceman.
Oh.
God, you just like that scene where they're playing volleyball in short shorts and sweating, no shirts.
Done that a million times.
1992, Smells Like Nirvana by Weird Al Yankovic. Hits number 35 on the charts.
Oh, my God. I can't stand him.
1996, Sammy Sosa is the first Chicago Cub to hit 2 home runs in 1 inning.
With or without a cork bat?
With. 2003, this was a sad day. NHL Western Conference Final. Anaheim Ducks beat the Minnesota Wild 4-0. Shut up, Greg. 2013.
I remember watching the game.
Dick Trickle, American race car driver.
What's his name?
Dick Trickle.
Imagine that.
One of the best Tom Cruise movies out there is when he's Cole Trickle in Days of Thunder. When they're wheelchair racing, and oh man, that's phenomenal. Cole Trickle, he was his wife was in that movie too at the time.
Nicole Kidman.
So this is sad though, Dick. He committed suicide by gunshot at 71. So R.I.P. Dick.
Yeah.
2019, just last year, UK talk show The Jeremy Kyle Show axed by ITV after a guest dies. Now, I'd like to research this a little more. So did Jeremy Kyle just, hey, welcome GBG to the show, and then, he had a heart attack or got murdered?
Or was he axed? That's what I want.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of like in the end of the Joker.
Yeah.
When he-
Greg.
Spoiler
alert. Okay, we've
Jesus.
been living in isolation for the last 2 months. If you're not caught up on every movie, it's fair game.
Unbelievable.
The movie came out like 6 months ago. Fair game.
All right.
Well, hope you got learned.
I learned.
Whoo! We got a new game, brand new game. Just came up with it yesterday. It's called the Jersey Color Game.
What? Okay, I'm ready.
I'm just as nervous as you, Greg.
This is Mike's favorite part of the show.
Welcome to the Twist Jersey Color Game with your host, Mike Reeves. Your contestants to my right, 4-time weekly champ Matt Benz.
In a row.
And Greg Green Bay Bauman.
Just so the viewers and listeners know, I am on fire currently.
He's heating up.
No,
A lot of asterisks.
3 is heating up. 4 is on fire. So right now I'm on fire. Greg's
you-
due.
You beat a curler with a tape delay.
Hey.
It cheated, which my mom called you out on.
Whatever,
I don't
Terry
know
Michaels.
about that. Contact the
Prove
Players
it.
Association.
We're
I don't
lawyered up
wanna
over
hear
here.
it.
Daly and Marouche, bring it.
Shout out.
I had steak over there last night. We're lawyered up.
Thanks, John, for the steak.
Yeah, I was going to say, they got a lot of free plugs on our show for,
Jersey Color Game.
Go ahead.
So, I have some trivia questions where the answer will be the jersey color of that team name. Question number 1. I wore these colors before I won a Super Bowl in Denver.
Greg,
Greg.
white and blue.
That's right. Peyton Manning, white and blue for the Colts. GBG
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now I see all the
Okay.
games played.
on the board.
Okay. Yep.
Question number 2. My team colors matched my dad's from his first team. My team colors,
Matt, purple and yellow.
yep, that would be Thaddeus
Thaddeus Moss.
and Randy Moss, LSU, and the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, let's go. All right.
Ben's on the board.
Good question.
What do you guys think so far? You
Good
like?
game. Good game.
Yeah. All right, this one I like. I would not volunteer to wear this color out of Tennessee.
Greg,
Orange.
and white.
Orange.
I
I said color, so I'll take orange. GBG up to.
Wait, what?
You would not
Go ahead.
volunteer.
I would not volunteer.
Okay.
Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
this
what I
is
said.
tricky.
That's what I said. I like this.
Keep going.
Woo. Question number 4. This city's team colors are the same for their baseball, football, and hockey professional
Greg.
teams. Greg.
Pittsburgh, gold and black. Or what? Yellow.
Black and yellow. The Steelers, Pirates, and Penguins all share the same colors. GBG up 3-1.
Good for you, Greg.
All right. Question number 5. This is a toughie. The Jersey Color Game. Twist. RTF Sports Network. It took a little luck with this team to win my only championship after leaving Minnesota.
Matt,
Green.
Kevin Garnett, Boston Celtics.
Yeah, buddy.
I
Took
like
a
the
little
luck. I knew it right on.
Oh! These are the ugliest colors in the NFL.
Matt, Greg.
Green and yellow.
Yeah! He's coming back. Tie game. Oh, God, this is good. All right, six down, 5 remaining with the tie ball game. Question number 7. This baseball team colors, whatever color, are named after a mean bird. Matt. Baseball team color named after a mean bird.
Orange.
Greg?
Red and white. Cardinals.
What is it?
Doge. the Blue Jays.
How are we both not both right? Mean bird?
Because
that was the
Blue
answer.
Jays are known for being mean birds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just guessed it.
I Googled it.
I was thinking.
I wasn't sure, so I Googled Cardinals, Blue Jays. Blue Jays have always been notorious as a mean bird.
I'm a lot of things. One is not a zoologist.
Doge is on the board. I forgot it.
Where's he at? There he is.
There he is. Doge on the board.
Oh, I love it.
Fantastic.
At Cardboard Doge.
Question number 8. I played football for 2 teams that shared the same color. My last name is a state, and I'm a quarterback.
Greg.
Montana,
red and
red.
Red.
Red would be the answer. That is right. Greg takes a lead of 4-3 to 1 with 3 questions to go.
Okay.
I played for 3 NFL teams, and the first 2 shared a color. I won a Super Bowl and played quarterback.
Greg. Green.
That's right.
I hate to correct you, but he started with the Falcons, so it wasn't his first 2 teams.
Oh, God.
Favre you're talking about.
I am talking about Favre. He was drafted by the Falcons. He didn't play.
First year. Played 1 year there.
That's right, he did. I played for 4 teams, and the 2 in the middle share a color. All right, Greg takes
I was like, what's the answer to this question?
Greg takes a 2-question lead.
Oh, I need it.
With 2 questions to go, this will be a tough game to come up with a fly question, but I hope Matt gets the last 2.
Let's go.
Number 10. I have faith in you here, Matt. A famous video game was named after a famous coach of this team.
Greg.
Black
and silver.
Wow. That's the game, folks.
Good job, Greg.
1 question to go. We might as well do it. Question number 11.
This is where you walk, strut.
We have neon in our jerseys. This is easy.
Matt.
Neon green.
Oh, you want me to guess the team?
Team and colors, yeah.
Green and blue.
There you go.
All right.
That's right.
Could have been the Seahawks or the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
I don't know which one he was going for.
Wolves and Seahawks.
Oh!
Either or, baby.
That should be 2
Either
points.
or. Wow.
Good job, Greg. Chief, that one was for you. Greg got you one.
He
got you one.
Back in the winners column.
Make them go viral, Chief.
That was a fun one. I was just kind of playing
Something
around.
different. I liked it. Yeah.
Let's get a new game going.
Yeah.
And
Like it.
yeah. So
All right.
let's get down to business here.
Sure.
Let's see if I did.
Oh. For all you viewers out there, make sure that you're slapping that share button here real quick. Slap it.
Smash the share.
I like slap it. Slap that share button.
Slap it a share.
Slap it the base.
Slap it a share.
Go ahead. Share it.
All
God, that
right.
just gets you.
God, doesn't it? Oh, half
Woo,
jump,
half
goosebumps. I'm feeling good. So we are going to pick our division winners.
Yeah.
Both out of the AFC and NFC.
Sure.
Out of every division. So we're not going to get too in-depth today. Just who we like out of every division. So we're going to start in the AFC. Starting in the AFC North.
AFC North.
We got the Steelers, the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens. Greg.
You got to go with the Ravens, especially because they took my guy, Queen. They only got better. They were head and shoulders above everyone else, and they only got better.
So I have the Ravens as well. However, I have the Steelers only losing by 1 win.
Huh.
Think about that. Yeah, Big Ben. Watch out. Comeback player of the year.
There you go, Chief. I also have the Ravens. I have them going 15-1.
That's aggressive.
I have them 12-4. So that's impressive.
If Lamar stays healthy, Greg mentioned Patrick Queen. I think one of their their best gets was J.K. Dobbins out of Ohio State. I think he's going to get some good play. They're just going to be running. You can give it to Gus. Unbelievable. All right, so we all have the Ravens.
Yep.
AFC South.
Yeah.
Colts, Texans, Jags, and Titans.
So I have the Jaguars not winning a game this season, 0-16.
I have them 3-13.
And I have the Colts taking the division at 14-2 record.
Are one of those 2 losses to the Vikings?
Yes. No.
Yeah, I know.
No,
We
it's
already
not.
did that. You bastard!
No, it's not.
Unbelievable. Greg.
This is a tough one. I'm gonna go with the Colts too, but the Titans are good.
Yep,
Titans are looking good.
they
I
are.
think that the Texans are gonna go 6-10.
Boom. 6-10 is
4
where
and
I got
12.
them.
I
Yeah,
have them.
really pathetic. So
Yeah.
it's a 2-team race, but I'm gonna go with the Colts.
I also have the Colts going 13-3, winning the division, with the Titans making the playoffs at
Love it.
10-6.
Beautiful.
AFC East.
Believe it or not, I'll go because I got a sleeper, I think. Well, sleeper. It's so funny. Yeah, the Patriots are going to win the division going 9-7.
Ooh.
What?
All right.
Yeah,
So
okay,
first
okay.
off, the AFC East, we got the Bills,
Yep.
the Patriots, the Jets, and the Dolphins. And Ben's just says 9-7,
Yep,
takes
defense.
the division. I also have the Patriots 9-7, losing the division to the Buffalo Bills,
Wow.
who go 11-5. Both teams make the playoffs.
I got Bills going 7-9.
See, I have the Bills going 10-6,
Okay.
but I also am sweeping the Patriots.
Mm.
I think this is their year.
Me too.
And I
They
only
got
think one
Diggsy.
team. I only think one team comes out of that division for the playoffs, though.
Yeah.
Even though you're letting 3
Yeah.
in,
Sure.
I think that this is the Bills' year. They've done enough. They brought in enough
I still
talent.
have a lot of faith in Belichick, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
and
We'll
I
It's
see them
interesting.
getting in at 9-7.
Yep.
So the last playoff team is in the AFC West. The Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos, at least for me.
Yeah.
This is a no-brainer.
Sure.
Chiefs, landslide?
Yeah,
I got
I think
Chiefs landslide, but somebody I like is the Raiders. I think the Raiders, I got them going 12-4.
Ooh.
So the Las Vegas, I don't know if NFL is a little puppeteery. Maybe you'll see them pull some strings, but Raiders, keep an eye out.
Well,
Yeah, Chiefs for sure.
I have the Chiefs in that 14-2, 13-3, but I have the Broncos as my wild card team coming out of that division.
Yeah.
I think that
I think if they get Cam Newton, like Stan said, I love that fit there.
I think Drew Lock can take him to the playoffs. That would be interesting, though, if Cam Newton if something were to happen. That was just an example he brought up.
Yeah.
Someone getting hurt that is at that next level. But I think Drew Lock, they gave him enough talent to make the playoffs.
Yep.
So my playoff guys out of the AFC are the Ravens, Steelers, Titans, Colts, Patriots, Bills, and Chiefs. Let's head into the NFC. We will end in our division, the North. Let's start over in the West. We got the Niners, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. I think this is going to be
A barn burner?
this division is insane because all the teams are, for the first time in a long time, pretty darn good.
Sure. So I've got the Seahawks taking it 15-1 record this year.
Wow.
And I have the Rams going 2-12 this year.
Wow.
Crumbling.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's
there's
insane.
trouble in LA.
Wow, that's
Especially if they can't play in LA this year and they have to go elsewhere as well.
Going.
I mean, they never get a home to play at, really. But still, yeah, Rams 2-12, Seahawks 15-1.
Well, if you got them going the Jags you got getting Trevor
I was
Lawrence.
gonna say you don't believe in parity.
Yeah.
You got like 8-9 teams that are gonna be 15-1, and I think you have 6 teams that aren't gonna win a game.
So who do you got coming out of the
just one team that won't win a game.
I got the 49ers, and I have 2 teams making the playoffs other than the 49ers. I have the Seahawks and the Cardinals both making the playoffs.
Okay,
we have 3 playoff teams.
Yeah.
Wild card teams, I should say. I think 2 of them are 2 of the wild card teams that are coming out of the West.
So we'll do your playoff predictions at the end. I also have the 49ers, but they end with the same record as the Seahawks, just take more of a divisional lead, so they take the division. I got the Rams 10-6 and the Cardinals 9-7, so both of them, all 4 above 500. So from the West Coast all the way over to the East Coast, we got the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Redskins.
Yeah.
Who you
Right.
got?
This is pathetic. I think that even though the Eagles did a lot, and I know that the Cowboys have a lot of talent, I think the Eagles are going to win this at 9-7, and the next best is 6-10, 7-9 with the Cowboys. I don't think any of them. I don't know. I'm not afraid of any of those teams.
I got the Cowboys going 14-2.
And believe it or not, I got the Eagles going, what's their record, Greg?
Eagles? What
Yeah.
do you have? What do you have? A 2-14, 1-15?
No, 15-1.
You have them
Flip
going
it.
15-1.
Yep. That's what happens. Hey,
You're
go
very-
ahead.
you're very-
Go ahead and check out Just for Clicks. It's another show on RTF Sports Network. This is where we got the playoff predictor that I did about 10 minutes before the show, and this is just what the records came out to be.
Speaking of,
So, Just for Clicks is on the board. Thanks for that playoff predictor.
part of the RTF Sports
yeah.
Network family. Go
Little
to
umbrella,
RTF
but yeah, that's
Sports
what it
Network.
came out with, Greg. I
.com.
didn't choose it that way. It just
You did choose it because you choose.
Well,
it.
I didn't-
win.
You
win,
went
win,
week by
win,
week,
win.
and that's just what happened. So based on their schedule, that's
I
what
had the
got.
Chiefs going 16-0.
Yeah, think about it.
All right, well that's rowdy.
How about the South?
So 2 Eagles and a Cowboy. Let's go to the South.
Yeah,
This is going to be another fun one. The Bucks, the Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers.
yeah. So you get 2 teams out of this that go to the playoffs. but I got
Agreed.
The Bucks taking it, and I know there's so much hype, and I don't want to believe the hype, but based on their games week in and week out, I got them going 13-3, and then the Saints going 12-4.
I have one team going to the playoffs out of this division. And before you guys think I'm an idiot,
Oh, I don't think you
just
got it yet.
wait.
He's going to say it's the Bucks, and then he'd sound like
No, it's
Oh.
it's the Saints.
Sure.
But keep in mind, I also have 2 wildcard teams coming out of the West. I only have 1 spot left.
Yeah, I knew that when you said that.
Yep.
I have the Saints going 15-1, the Bucks going 12-4. Falcons and Panthers are on a slippery slope. And let's end it in the best division in the whole NFL.
Yep.
The NFC North. Greg?
I have the Packers winning it at 12-4, and I have the Vikings at 11-5, comfortably making it into the playoffs.
I have those exact 2 records for those exact 2 teams, Vikings and Packers, both making the playoffs, but with the Packers winning the division.
And I have the Vikes at 11-5.
So we all have them at
Winning the
11-5.
division.
Yeah.
Winning the division
Yep.
at 11-5.
I just think that we've talked about this so often.
What's going on, everybody? Whether you're practicing social distancing of 6 feet up to 6 miles, you can still party with On and Off the Field, where you can listen to the best NFL and charity-based podcasts out there on the RTF Sports Network. You can follow them on Facebook or go to rtfsportsnetwork.com and check out the show Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Coming up next here on the RTF Sports Network.com radio network is Lakers Fast Break. Full hour talk of NBA at Los Angeles Lakers talk. Enjoy.
Hey, it's Gerald from Lakers Fast Break. Anchor is the easiest way to make your next podcast. It's absolutely free, and their creation tools will allow you to record and edit your show right from your phone or your home computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on great podcast outlets like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started on your next podcast. All right, and we're back once again with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. Thank you so much for listening to all of our great programs. Well, still a lot to talk about in the NBA as we get closer, ever so slowly, to a possible start date for the NBA. Still a little bit of ways away, but looking forward to something happening real soon in the whole context of an NBA season. And here to talk to me today about that and other Laker topics is my good friend. I know him as Tom Wong, but you know him as the man behind Lakerholics.net. You got to go ahead and be a part of the conversation today at Lakerholics.net. It is Laker Tom. And Laker Tom, thanks for turning back on today's show. Appreciate it so much. Thanks again. I hope you're safe. You and your family are safe as we get back into some sort of semblance of our society. Maybe it's a little bit too soon. Maybe it's the right time. I'm not sure. That's a debate that's hotly going on. But the NBA, seeing that other leagues are now going ahead full blast into their seasons or planning it out or making schedules or guaranteeing start dates, it looks more and more like the NBA has got the kind of go-ahead, of course, to go ahead and start the NBA season at some point down the line.
It sure looks that way, Gerald. It'd be wonderful to be able to have a chance for the Lakers to finish off this season and actually compete for that championship that I thought we had a good shot at. Nothing for certain, but I think that Adam Silver's recent conversation with the players really covered a lot of ground and set some of the conditions and situations that would happen. And it was very interesting, and I think overall encouraging. The only thing that I think all of us are a little worried about is whether or not there'll be some rebound of the coronavirus, and that could just derail all of the plans for all of the leagues if a bunch of people all of a sudden start getting sick again and the death counts start to rise. It's not a really promising sign when you look at the three top guys in the coronavirus task committee that Trump put together are now, all sequestered and self-sheltered in place. The vice presidents and two people on the staff have tested positive, and there's questions about the tests and so forth. And you think that if it's hard to imagine any of the professional leagues, even with their power and so forth, being able to manage this situation if the White House itself can't seem to manage it. So, but at any rate, I think there are some positive things to talk about. Adam Silver covered a lot of ground in his conversations with the players, starting off with the idea that it possibly could be Eastern Conference finals or playoffs, so to speak, being held in Disney World, and the Western Conference holding theirs in Las Vegas, where you might be able to become one of those few fans that could sneak in there.
Well, I'm hoping for that. Again, there's still debate on where they're actually going to have the tournaments and have the actual completion of the season. Also, as well, they've talked about getting all 30 teams together in one place to go ahead and finish off the season as well. I know they could do it here in Las Vegas because not only did we talk about in past episodes about having 6 arenas able to play or that have played either major college basketball or NBA games in the past couple of years, you have also the Mandalay Bay has offered to build up to 24 courts. So you can actually have a lot going on, including practices and things of that nature going concurrently. So you could have pretty much, a really truncated schedule and playoff schedule there. I believe they can make up to 12 to 15 courts at Disney World. So they'll be also able to do it. Not quite the amount Mandalay Bay has, but you're right. If they go to a East-West type scenario, but they still would have to get together for the ultimate finals, which of course would be a smaller amount of teams.
Right.
Too. So I think that's pretty good if they go ahead and split it up that way between Las Vegas and Orlando. Although, now the question is, oh my gosh, the guys would go ahead and gamble. They're stuck for a month in Vegas or they're stuck for a month at Disney and they have to go ahead and Disney and, all these different other scenarios. I mean, they're there to play basketball. The other thing is, will the non-playoff teams How are they going to be able to handle it? Is Adam Silver going to go ahead and institute his playoffs format, or is it just going to continue on as the last 5 or 6 games of the season? What does that say to a team like Golden State or Atlanta, who's really out of the playoffs? Why should they even care? Things of that nature. So it really is going to be a situation where they're going to have to work it out. And I know they've talked about extending the collective bargaining agreement in this situation. In regards to it, they just announced that as we're taping this, that they're extending it. And the deadline to scrap the current collective bargaining agreement has been extended so they could talk even further about how they're going to figure this out. So the logistics are still being talked about. I know also as well for optics, they were talking about, we don't want to go ahead and do it unless we know we can get enough testing because we want to make sure frontline workers get testing. And yes, that was optics, and that's great. But once they saw the NFL going full blast into its schedule, announcing and said, we're going to go in September regardless,
right,
things of that nature. And also NASCAR, they're going full board into it next week. Of course, they're going to be in racetracks without fans. PGA is starting up as well. And, all these other leagues are starting up. Soccer is starting up around the world. So you're going to go ahead and see these leagues starting, and they're going to have they're either going to have or not have enough testing. They're just going to start up regardless. With the NBA, at least I appreciate Adam Silver being concerned over the amount of testing, whether or not it's up to 15,000 or up to as much as 100,000 tests that need to be taken care of over the course of the period of time that they're there. I appreciate the fact that they're considering the safety of the players and also the safety of their families as well. This is something that I don't think other leagues are taking that kind of care in comparison. So kudos to Adam Silver. But as I said before, it's all about optics, and they didn't want to be the first to jump back into it. But now that everybody else is, hey, let's go ahead and start our season as well.
Well, there's a couple of things that he brought up that sort of tied into just what you were talking about. One being that even though he said that every one of the owners wants to come back and play to finish the season, so that would include the teams that were not in the playoffs, but he also said that they're pretty committed to not wanting to end up with an asterisk on the playoffs. So they're planning on having 7-game series, thinking that just because they're going to be done in a single venue at a single location, that they can save time, for the travel and so forth, so that they can afford to do that. And I think that's an important thing, just to make sure that there is as little tinge or asterisk to attach to this championship when they get it done. What you'd hate to see, it's a good thing to think that if you still have to go through 4 rounds of playoffs, you have to go through winning 7 games in each one of those rounds, so that you have a full-fledged playoffs, even if they decide that they may not play out the rest of the season. I still think that that's an issue, that you've got 14 teams that are in the lottery that basically they're going to go through a 3-week training course to come back for 5 or 6 games in order to hit the 70-game mark. You almost think that they probably, just like the players and owners, are probably going to negotiate a smoothing of the cap just so it doesn't destroy the next 2 seasons in free agency. You got to feel that most of the local television people are going to work out stuff that can deal with this 70-game minimum. It's kind of interesting because the rule in the league is that everything over 70 games on the local television goes entirely 100% to the league. With the one exception being the Lakers, who actually have a per-game deal on their local television network contract. So I think it's still not certain that they're actually going to finish out the season, the regular season. There's a lot of talk that 5 or 6 games is basically just sort of like a preseason just to get ready for the playoffs. And that may be the only reason that they're really playing it. Silver actually said he didn't really expect that anybody was going to have enough games that they could make up I think the closest any team is to getting into the playoffs that's outside of it at this point in time is 3 games. And that would be a lot to make up in a 5 or 6 game schedule, depending on how you want to end up the season.
But he really wants to do that tournament. He's really been pushing towards it. The league would have gone as planned and the season would have gone as planned. He would have been setting up another vote between owners for a tournament for those last playoff spots sometime before the next season started. So this is something that I think it's going to be an inevitability because Adam Silver is pushing it. I'm not sure I'm in love with it, but I'm a little bit more old school, but I'm willing to go ahead, at least for those last spots on teams that will most likely not go far in the playoffs. It'd be kind of cool and keep the other teams interested in. Although for those teams at the 7th and 8th spot, let's say the Lakers are there in the 7th or 8th spot, and they've worked hard all season to go ahead and be in a 7th and 8th spot. If they were to be bounced out in this tournament, it would kind of stink. But I can see the reasoning that you get more teams involved, thus more fans, thus more eyes, thus more cash, thus more dollars involved and invested if you had a tournament for the 7 to 12 spots to get into those 2 spots for the actual playoff.
I don't see them doing anything like that this season, just simply because I think that they want to make sure that there's as little negativity toward this being an exception. They want to remove the asterisk from any championship that's won by anybody this particular season. So I think that the playoff setup, at least for this season, will be the normal playoff setup. I do think that the one thing the coronavirus pandemic has done is definitely opened the doors for all sorts of different things to happen. And you can see it in all of the major sports. I mean, baseball actually talking about having 3 divisions of regional teams where the Yankees and Mets would be playing each other, be in the same division. Same with the White Sox and the Cubs and the Angels and the Dodgers. And playing a 100-game season and so forth. So there's definitely going to be a lot of creative things that are being talked about and a lot of ideas that are flying around. And I think that going into next season, not only with the NBA thinking of starting the season on Christmas Day in order to avoid going head-to-head with the NFL, at least for the most part of the season, I think that we're all going to see a new normal. And when there's a new normal and a whole different attitude toward how they're going to make their revenue. I mean, it's possible, Silver even brought up the subject that it could be possible that there wouldn't be fans next year either, that we may have a whole season as well as just the end of this season. We may see another entire season where fans are at, let's say at best, limited, where everybody has a capacity of maybe a third of what they would expect to have in attendance. And the actual tickets being sold represent, from when you count the playoffs included in it, 40% of the revenue that the league makes. So you're getting a whole new situation, and we'll see a lot of different things about how teams are going to broadcast games. The networks are going to have challenges. I mean, what are they going to pipe in audience sounds or turn on the microphone so that we can hear the players trash talk each other?
That's what I want. I don't want
that could be really interesting.
No, piped in audience sound. What I do want is unfiltered, uncensored NBA sound.
That could be very interesting.
People would pay for that. I'm telling you right now, people would actually, the NBA could make a little bit of its money back by doing that. Unfiltered, have a channel like the NBA channel, rated, 18 plus. And there you go.
Well, I have to admit, even though I'm a basketball aficionado,
or added to the
there are playoff games. I have league pass. I don't watch every game.
Yeah,
but I don't watch every game in the playoffs. By the time they start this playoffs, I'm going to watch every game.
Added uncensored channel to NBA League Pass. I would highly recommend it. It would make, and you could raise it up the price, just to compensate a little bit. But you know what? That's just something I'm throwing out there right there.
It's what the fans who get the front court seats get to hear that we don't hear. They get a whole different perspective of the game than the guys up in the bleachers like we are. So it is a little bit of that sort of idea that everybody now can have a virtual reality front row seat. They can hear exactly what the players say to each other.
Well, Rachel Nichols did say in a recent podcast that she would like to see that, and she thinks that might relate to younger audiences because right now, because the league, just before obviously the season went down, the ratings were down.
Right.
So that's something that is not the ratings are down. So that's something that is of great concern to the league even before the season went down. So that'd be kind of cool to go ahead and do that. And that might relate to younger audiences having that type of unfilteredness and more accessibility. But I'm disagreeing with you. I think Adam Silver, if he gets a chance, and also to go ahead and spice the interest for some of these teams that are going there. Otherwise, they would be going through the motions for the last 5 games of the NBA season. I think they need to go ahead and possibly do a round-robin tournament for either the 7 and 8 seeds, it's something like that. I think they need to do that to spice up that interest. I think Adam Silver is really behind it, and I think he needs to go ahead and choose that for this occasion. Would I like to see that on a regular basis? I don't think so. But then again, if the younger audiences get into it,
it works. It works for baseball. I mean, you have to admit it. When you play a 162 game season, and you go into a playoff, a sudden death type playoff game to determine whether or not you go on. That's one of the reasons why in baseball that because of the not playing 7-game series all the way through and having the wild card type games, is that teams can just get hot at the right moment and end up winning a championship. And I suppose for the average fan, there's a lot to say for that. It means you're never really out of the woods, especially if they put out those 14 lottery teams and let them go after, you add 2 teams there. You'd have 18 teams. They took those 18 lottery teams, or let's say 16, you take the number 18 in each division or in each conference, and you put together the 14 lotteries plus that, you've got a 16-game, single elimination contest to see who's going to be the eighth team in each conference. And, it basically means that nobody's completely out of it. If you got somebody injured at the start of the year, there's a lot of talk that Kevin Durant could possibly, depending on how long this lasts, Kevin Durant and the Nets might be right back in there.
Well, no, they are in there anyways. I mean, with
a realistic chance
of winning the whole thing. But they are a playoff team as of the season, and as of the season getting suspended. It would be a team like Golden State. Would you go ahead to say to Curry, to Thompson, and the like, hey, there's a chance to get in this year's playoffs? That would be something extremely interesting that I know a lot of people would like. But again, the goal, if you're looking at also a long-term aspect and a long-term prospect as far as reaching a larger audience, that might be something that, even though it's to my chagrin and more of a traditionalist in that sense that I liked, if a tournament caters to a more larger audience, then so be it. And then also, if it goes unfiltered, you want to get more reaction from the court, more players mic'd up, like she was suggesting, so be it. Or other things. You got to start trying new things because even though the Lakers are one of the most popular teams in the NBA, them on top right now this season hasn't worked out for the most part. I mean, they did have that one game right after Kobe's death, the Lakers-Clippers, Lakers-Bucks weekend games. Those were very well rated. But there's been, for the most part, a season of games where it's just not getting enough ratings, as opposed to what it was with Miami and then Golden State. Those numbers were getting really high.
I think there are other factors, though, that really play into that. One being a lot of streaming being done now. That isn't, people that aren't actually watching the network games. And then also, too, the NBA schedule is kind of a complicated situation where the league has very poor ability to make shifts at the end to improve the qualities of the games. And some of the matchups that they were playing on the big networks, on NBC or ABC and on Turner, some of those matchups were really not good matchups at all.
Well, Zion getting hurt really hurt a big chunk of it, and they were on 30 games total. There was, I think, 30 games plus. total on
Yeah,
that.
and you think they could have adjusted a lot more than they did, but they played a lot of those games. A lot of those games stayed on the schedule because they couldn't feel anybody other game in there.
Yeah, they don't have something set up like the NFL does, where they're able to go ahead and change it on the fly. And if
everybody plays on Sunday, makes it a lot easier to adjust your schedule according to the situation. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I one thing I would say is that I tend to think that there's a lot more validity to the idea of having a tournament for the number 8 spots in the playoffs than there is this mid-season tournament thing that they're trying to pull off.
That's the worst. Don't do that at all. That is the worst.
Seems to be a total loss. I don't see how that could work at all. The risk of injury just for somebody playing in that tournament. They're lucky to get a quarter out of the players really playing hard in the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah, that to me they've been trying to tweak with the midseason and the All-Star game for years now, and that's something they're going to have to continue to do. But no midseason tournaments, that's awful. And what's
really going to help this year, next year, would be starting the season on Christmas Day, and not having those October, November, and December games really suffer because of the NFL dominating things. And people just not getting into basketball. It's an 82-game season. It isn't 162 games like Major League Baseball, but it's a long season, and a lot of fans generally start to tune in December. So if you start in December and you got that nice long run there, you got a lot of run after the Super Bowl is over, where you're really the prime basketball time. So I think that they would do better. The other thing that though I think is that there is a lot of streaming of games now. And I know my son watches all of these games illegally, He downloads and streams every game that he wants to see, even though he's a Warriors fan. But he does that with movies, and he does it with anything, and there's a whole group of younger people today that they didn't grow up watching the networks. They didn't grow up just watching basketball on ABC and Turner and so forth. So I think that it's going to change a lot going forward, because all of a sudden television revenue, I mean, if you look at the different industries that are going to benefit, you can see that airlines and cruise lines and music concerts and so forth are going to be difficult. But newspapers like the New York Times, the big newspapers and CNN and the television shows and stuff, and I think there's a big opportunity that online sports all of a sudden is going to become a lot more profitable than it has been in the past, because all of a sudden you're going to have people a lot more hesitant to join a crowd and sit next to 25 people right next to them in a crowded stadium. I think that there's going to be holdovers that are, it's the same thing with working from home or going to school from home or seeing the doctor via video. We're going to see a lot of changes in just the way that things work. And certain industries are primed. Industries that are doing things remotely, all of the entertainment industries have big opportunities to increase their profitability. And I think that teams are going to have to start focusing. They've been doing it over the years. More and more of the income has come from television rights and broadcast and streaming rights than it has from the live attendance. And that's going to continue. It's going to be exacerbated by this coronavirus, and the longer it lasts, the bigger the impact of all of those changes are going to be on how we get our entertainment, how we get our sports. And, and when you get down to it, I remember LeBron saying, that I don't want to play if there's no fans. And yet the other side of it is when you grow up as a kid playing the game, that's all it is. It's the game, it's the game itself. It's you versus the other players. It's the talk, like you say, the trash talk that's going on between all of the players and the interactions you get and the coach calling plays from the bench and so forth. It's a whole different environment. And I think that there are ways that you can turn that into something that is a whole different type of entertainment that could replace a lot of the fan screaming and yelling that you get in the background. They might make benches bigger so that the fans are the guys on the bench. That's part of the biggest act of the Lakers in the last year has been how terrific the bench has been and their responses to everything that goes on the court. In many ways, during the rest of this season, when we don't have fans, those benches are going to become an important part of the entertainment process of how the games are really looked at by audiences.
We're signaling the ref for a quick timeout, but we'll be back with more of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
I see the potential for basically like another Netflix kind of paradigm shift where here comes this other major player. They have a ton of resources. Apple could change the way that entertainment is consumed.
They say it's the only time this year that you'll have stars from each brand battling each other, and we know it's not going to be the case, but they like to say that, and more power to them, I guess.
Well, it's a big first step, bringing all those superheroes together. There were definitely some parts of the movie that I really enjoyed, and then there were some parts that I thought just kind of fell short of expectation.
Part of it has to be something to do with how it's being promoted, and this is a thing where audiences do not agree with critics.
That's the Pop Culture Cosmos Show.
And the PCC Multiverse, every week on Apple Podcasts.
And over a dozen of your favorite streaming and podcasting options. Once again, I'm speaking to my good friend Laker Tom from Lakerholics.net. Be part of the conversation today at Lakerholics.net. When I go ahead and see what's going on with the landscape of how the NBA is getting back together, I mean, one of the things that I'm seeing that really interests me is the consistent talk about what are these teams going to be doing as far as draft, free agency, how are they going to be able to interweave that between seasons? I mean, some people even suggested the draft go on in June as planned, which I think is ridiculous because you don't even know the status of all the teams and their final record as of yet. I mean, if you plan to finish out the NBA season for another 4 or 5 games worth of games for all these teams, you don't really have a marking point for that. You have to go ahead and wait. I think the idea, and this was also suggested by Rachel Nichols and some others out there, on different podcasts and whatnot, that they should give a try to the free agency, NBA free agency after the season's over, no matter how short of a time that's going to be. NBA free agency take place before the draft, let's say a week to 10 days before the draft. Similar to what we're seeing now with the NFL, and I'm not saying model the NFL in some ways, but because last, 2-3 podcasts ago, we were talking about modeling the NFL after the NBA. So they should take the best things from each other. I think the free agency is something that they definitely should look at. That would make the drafts a lot more interesting. I think they should try it once. Whether or not they continue to do that, it's up to them. But I think they should give it a try once. In between, they have this time now to go ahead and tinker with things to see what works and see what doesn't. This coronavirus issue is very tragic, but at least allows the NBA to try a few things like a tournament, like flip-flopping the draft and free agency, like starting the season at Christmas, all these different scenarios that the league can try out to see what works and what doesn't. I think this is the time now to go ahead and do that if you get the clearance from all parties concerned, whether it's the owners, whether it's the players, what have you. It's still time to go ahead and maybe do some tinkering now because I think it necessitates that because the league is not necessarily going in the right place. Even before this coronavirus hit, it is probably, to my knowledge, the worst season on record. And that includes the strike seasons, anything of that nature. It probably is, to me, the worst season on record for the NBA as a whole. Not for the Lakers, mind you, because we've enjoyed parts of it. Other parts with Kobe's passing and other things have been a detriment, obviously. But for the league itself, it's not been a very good one. In fact, one of the worst on record.
One of the interesting things I agree with you on this whole idea of free agency happening before the draft, because with a few exceptions, unless you're drafting Zion or LeBron or somebody like that, most of the major holes that you want to finish and most of the major roster moves that a team wants to make are going to come via free agency. And it's stupid to then think that you're going to go out there and draft a kid from high school or a couple of years of college and expect him to fill a hole when you don't even know yet what you're going to do in free agency, how you're going to come out of free agency. So flipping those around totally makes sense. Free agency should happen first. And free agency itself, I wrote an article in Lakerholics.net that basically the gist of which is that this is going to be a totally different free agency than you've ever seen in the past. Not only do you have a very poor class of superstars, other than Anthony Davis, who's going to re-sign with the Lakers, your next best player probably out there is Fred VanVleet. And I don't mean to say that VanVleet is not a great point guard. I'd love to have him on the Lakers. But there's only probably 3 or 4 or 5 guys that are probably going to be worth more than $10 million a year in a regular season. And this is not going to be anything close to a regular season, because all of a sudden you're going to find teams are worried about, if you're in a business and your revenues drop 30 or 40%, you have only one option. That is to cut expenses.
But also you got to consider the fact that the free agency market is going to be substantially reduced, because virtually all these players that have a year left on their contracts,
they're all gonna re-up.
They're all going to opt in,
yeah,
because of the uncertainty right now due to the fluctuating cap that's going to be dropping down quite a bit. There was talk
even if they were to smooth out the cap, which is likely to happen, because otherwise if they don't smooth out the cap, what's going to happen is nobody's going to have cap space, and a whole bunch of teams are going to be in the luxury tax that had planned for years how to avoid the luxury tax, just because those numbers are going to come down because they're related to a percentage of basketball-related income. So you really got 3 factors there. You've got the losses that people are going to have. You've got a very weak free agency group of people in free agency, and you've got only 5 teams that have money, substantial money, and only one of those teams, the Miami Heat, is a winning team. Otherwise, if you're a free agent, your choices are the Atlanta Hawks, the Detroit Pistons. You're not going to get any. You're going to be signing up with a losing team, or you're going to take less money, and this whole thing is going to get depressed. The gist of it, though, is that for teams like the Lakers, who have the non-taxpayer MLE, which is like $9.7 million, which is more than the taxpayer MLE, which is like $5 million, or the room exception if you're below the cap, which is like $4.5 million, the Lakers are going to have enough money to probably compete for any free agents out there, with the exception of a half a dozen guys. And even that half a dozen guys, they may be able to compete for a couple of those guys on the fringes. But it's going to be an unusual season, and I designated 4 guys that I thought the Lakers have a real shot at getting, who would be terrific additions to the team. They're guys that I don't think are going to be given offers for more than $10 million, at least not by the Miami Heat, and may not want to play on a losing team, because they're players that basically have some real upside. But I think that there's a good chance that the Lakers could be able to go after a guy like Goran Dragic, who would be a perfect point guard. And there's talk, because of the financial situation of the Brooklyn Nets, that they may not be able to keep Joe Harris, who would be, this is a guy who won the 3-point shooting contest and shoot 43% from deep. We got a guy, Christian Wood, that you brought up in the trades with the Pistons before, who's been a real star. The guy's shooting 38% from outside. He's a power forward, but he's really athletic. He has great hops around the rim. Is a terrific dunker. You got him, and so you got 3 guys right there. So you got guys that and then these are all players that basically could come out there and be signed by the Lakers, which could be a real addition to the team. And then you've got a 4th guy that I really like, who's had a great season, which is I forgot his name now, Aaron Baines from the Phoenix Suns. One of the things that the Lakers need, besides having a point guard and a second scorer and a third scorer and a second point guard, is they need a stretch 5, somebody who can really make sure that teams like the Bucks and the Clippers don't use their drop coverage and just crowd up the lane and prevent LeBron and AD from getting to the basket. You put a guy like Baines out there who's a rugged defender and one of the best screen setters in the league, and all of a sudden, he's a pick and pop guy that could basically really hurt teams that run a sag on the Lakers. So you've got 4 guys there that all are going to earn probably less than $10 million a year, less than what the MLE that the Lakers have. And the Lakers should have a good shot, and they basically should go after every one of these guys and take whoever's the first guy to want to take the spot, get a chance to play with LeBron and AD and win a championship.
Because Markieff Morris, unlike what you were saying last week, has not been the answer so far. His shooting has been awful. He's under 40% from the field and under 30% from the three-point area, which is the exact opposite of what he was shooting at in Detroit. So
Right.
It's been very unfortunate that that's happened, because when you said that last week and he's been shooting very well and he's been playing very well for the Lakers, I'm like, we're not watching the same Markieff Morris, because Markieff Morris has really stunk it up out there, but he hasn't played in too many games. So maybe he would go ahead in a playoff series, be able to go and be a little bit more effective. And now that he's going to have some time as far as a training camp, 20, 30 days of working with the Lakers, maybe he can get back into form. It's been one of those things where
his best when he was playing with Detroit was the first year he's really shot the ball really well. But when you look at the options, Wood basically can play a little bit of center, but he's primarily a power forward. Baines would be a wonderful fit on the team. And a lot of that depends on what happens with DeMarcus Cousins, because Cousins basically, as I've always said, is the perfect stretch 5 if he can recover from his injuries and come back. I know you feel that Dwight Howard may end up getting a better offer to go somewhere else. I don't think that's going to happen. And I do think that there's a possibility that the Lakers may trade JaVale McGee as part of a package along with Kuzma. They basically have 2 shots at getting a really good player this year. One is using the draft pick and Kuzma and whatever filler, depending on the salary of the person they're going after. So they've got that one package. They've got $20 million in expiring contracts plus Kuzma and a first-round pick to trade for another player to fill one of the 3 needs, which is a second point guard, a third scorer, and a defensive forward. And then they have the option of the MLE, $9.7 million, regardless of being over the cap. They're not in the tax situation, so they have the non-taxpayer MLE. So that's their second opportunity to really bring in a player, or to use it on 2 or 3 guys, which they've done in the past. I'd like to see them bring in 2 strong guys, because I think, just like we talked earlier, you got 4 guys that have got options, including 5 guys, including Anthony Davis, but you got 4 other guys who've got options that are probably going to opt in rather than take a chance on free agency. This is not the time when anybody wants to be a free agent. So you're going to see Caldwell Jones staying with the Lakers. You're going to see
Caldwell Pope
staying with the Lakers. You're going to see Rajon Rondo stay with the Lakers. You're going to see, is it Avery Bradley? I think also has an option, and there's one more player. It must be McGee. Has an option. So you see probably all 4 of those guys opt in, although it's very possible that McGee might get some offers. But I think, too, that, when things are happening like they're happening in a situation where the league is in turmoil at this point in time, there's always going to be a tendency for people to want to stay where they're comfortable. And the chemistry on this team says a lot to encourage players to want to stay, because every one of those players who's on this team are veterans who've been on other teams, with the exception of probably Kuzma. I think he's the only guy who's or Kuzma and maybe Alex Caruso are the only guys who haven't played for another team. And all of those guys have had in situations where they played on teams that haven't been, number 1, competing for a championship, number 2, had great chemistry, great leadership, were playing in a city that they like to live in, and were basically playing with a bunch of guys that they like to play with. I can tell you back from playing high school and junior college basketball that the chemistry on the team makes a whole lot of difference on how much you enjoy the season, just as much difference as winning does. So I think that there's a tendency that a lot of players are going to stay where they're comfortable. And the guys who want to leave at that point in time are going to be the few who have an opportunity to make a lot more money than they used to make, or secondly, want to get out of a situation that isn't a good situation for them, where they're not a good fit. So there's some good opportunities for the Lakers, some silver linings in the whole financial situation that's coming out that could benefit the Lakers. And I think being able to pick up their use of the non-taxpayer MLE, which is twice as much as the room exception they had last year, could give them a real opportunity, and it could be a real weapon for them in recruiting another top-flight player to play with the team.
And the thing is, you have to make sure at this point in time, while you have LeBron and AD, and they're both healthy, while you have the window of LeBron and AD, you can't worry about money. Okay, especially with the Lakers and how much they're worth. And well, they did try to steal $4.4 million, but we won't go there. I keep on going there because I'm still mad at them for doing that. But with LeBron and AD, you have that window. You have to go ahead and spend every available dollar while you have them here and available to play and playing at the level that they are. If you don't, then you're not doing your team justice, your organization justice, and most importantly, your fans justice if you do not do that. So you know what? You need to go ahead and spend the MLE. You need to go ahead and do whatever you can do as far as even going above the salary cap, going into the tax, going into repeater tax, whatever you need to do, you need to do it right now, because these times may not come very often for the Lakers, because the rest of the decade, as the way it's set up right now, after LeBron, it's not going to be very pretty unless you find another LeBron, which is going to be hard to do, to pair up with AD if you sign AD long term. And that could be another issue aside. If AD sees that LeBron is leaving or LeBron is retiring, he may not want to be there long term as well. So by the time 2023, 2024, even 2025 rolls around, you may not have the team that you had planned or designed. And if you aren't doing a good job as GM, and you and I have talked about this GM before in the recent past, then you're going to really have to go ahead and do your work, because it might become back to a situation in what we saw the past 6 years of futility for the Lakers really quickly once LeBron and or AD leaves. So you got to go ahead and maximize, because your window is small, your window is finite, and you need to go ahead and spend whatever available cash you have on the best players out there that you can get.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. Ideally, this is a perfect situation. There's a silver lining when you have a business climate like we've got right now, where a lot of NBA teams are going to be pulling in their resources and being hesitant to spend. This is an opportunity where, just like in corporate business anywhere, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The Lakers can take advantage of this, and they need to go out there. Any other year, any normal year, for example, at that $9.7 million MLE would really mean nothing. Like last year, that was really not anything that could have been a big weapon. You couldn't have gotten any of the guys there must have been 25, 30 players last year that signed for more than the MLE. There are maybe only 3 or 4 this year that do that. So there's a good opportunity for the Lakers to take advantage of that. And I think that if there's anything that ownership has shown over the years for the Lakers, if there's anything that Jeannie Buss learned from her dad, and that's not to squelch on talent. Spend the money and we'll figure out how to cover that in other ways. And I think that's what the Lakers just exactly have to do. At some point in time, it's hard to predict how long LeBron is going to be able to play. I mean, here's a guy who's 35 years old, and frankly, I think he's still the best player in the league. Can he be that way when he's 36 or 37 or 38? And he doesn't necessarily have to still be the best player in the league. Can he still be a top 10 player, a top 5 player at 37 and 38 years old? I think one thing, and we've talked about this before, I firmly believe that the Lakers would not have even been talking about going after Giannis Antetokounmpo if it had not been for the simple fact that they felt that LeBron James might be willing to take less than a max salary in order to make room for him. But it raises up the subject, which is I'm in the middle of writing an article about who's going to be the next superstar to take the mantle from LeBron James as the best player in the league. And there are obvious challengers. Giannis is, in some people's mind, has already taken over that position. Before he got injured, there were ones who claimed that Kevin Durant had taken over that position. There are others that say Kawhi Leonard has taken over that position. I don't think any one of those three has surpassed LeBron at this point in time. But those three plus Anthony Davis are the four that I think are the four best candidates that are out there right now. And maybe Zion Williamson will put himself into that mix, play himself into that mix over the next few years.
I think Luka Doncic has an outside chance of getting to that point where he is the best player in the league because of the fact that he's so skilled. I know there's some issues as far as his physical stature that he doesn't have that LeBron has, which helped LeBron become the player that he is. But I think Luka can really be something special in this league, and he already is in many ways for the Dallas Mavericks. You mentioned Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant coming off an Achilles injury. I think he'll get back to a point where he's a top 10 player, maybe even a top 5 player again. I don't think he'll ever get back to the point where he was even 2-3 years ago, simply because of the fact that also he's 31 years of age and he's seen a lot of mileage and wear and tear from the NBA. But I will tell you, there are points in time in the past decade that he was the best player in the league above LeBron, and that was proven in the finals. I mean, there were those finals matchups between those two where Durant was clearly outplaying LeBron. At least, LeBron was playing at a spectacular level, but Durant was playing at a notch just higher. So you could say at those point in times he was the best player in the world. But overall, during an 82-game season, you can see LeBron is going ahead and playing at a level that not many are. And I know Durant at some points in time during the seasons when he was with Golden State would defer to obviously Thompson or Curry or Green or whatnot. But at some points in time during the playoffs when they were matched up against each other, Durant did play like he was the best player on the face of God's green earth.
And there's definitely an opinion by a large number of people today that Giannis is the best player, is better than LeBron at this point in time, and that Kawhi is better than LeBron at this point in time. I don't agree.
Those are good arguments. I think those are good arguments because of the fact that LeBron is older now and that LeBron isn't LeBron at all points of time. We've seen during the course of the season when he gets tired, he does not have that lift, and he is much more easily defendable. He gets a shot blocked when he goes to the rim, things of that nature. So we don't see those type of games all the time. Now we see them like 75.
Those are regular season games too, and we saw a little bit of the playoff LeBron in those last two games against the Bucks.
So that's what I'm saying. When he gets up for these games, there is no one better at this point in time. Even Antetokounmpo can't match up to that level when LeBron is playing at that Superman level. The thing is, you're not going to get it every game like you did in the past. Now with the Lakers, you're getting it about 75, 80% of the time, which is very good for Lakers fans because obviously it's been able to create that type of level. And you don't need it now as AD becomes more adaptable to the team. The only thing is when LeBron's out of the lineup, you have to make AD more effective. And that's the problem the Lakers have had all season is that the Lakers have not been as effective when LeBron goes to the bench. And that's something that they have to figure out because during the course of a playoff run, you're going to have times where you have to, even with increased minutes, you have to have LeBron sit on the bench and get a rest. So you have to have AD become more effective and you have to learn how to play better when LeBron is off the floor. That's something the Lakers need to focus on as well.
Well, the other thing is that when you look at these players that we just talked about, these 4, 5, or 6 players who are all superstars that are capable of becoming the next one, if you will, because we went through the whole, Magic passing on the baton to MJ and MJ passing on the baton to Kobe and then Kobe passing it on to LeBron. One of the things that's different is the style of play. LeBron's got the ball in his hands all the time. Doncic has the ball in his hands all the time. unless Curry's got the ball, Kevin Durant had the ball in his hands all the time. They have advantages over guys like Giannis and like AD in that they aren't the guys that bring the ball down the court and initiate the offense there. And so it takes somebody getting to the ball to them a lot of the time, or playing an awful lot of one-on-one for them to become as dominant of players and dominate the ball as much as the guys who naturally have it in their hands. I put AD in that group of that. I think that he's capable. He's still only 26 and just now starting. I think there were points and times in games because of his two-way play where I thought he was the best player on the court, even better than LeBron, and more important to the Lakers in winning several of those games than LeBron was. So I think that Davis's growth is going to be a big factor in what happens down the road for the Lakers. I'm not worried about AD leaving. I think LeBron's going to be around for at least 3 or 4 more years. But there is going to be a point in time where we have to bring in a third superstar who will then be the second superstar when LeBron leaves. And I would like that superstar to be a guard. I think I've said that in the past, as opposed to Giannis. It'd be great to have Giannis, but the NBA still is a guard's game. And even though LeBron is a small forward in normal conversations, the truth of the matter is he's the point guard for the Lakers. He's the guy, and just the same way as Doncic is not. Luka's not a small forward either. He's a point guard. He basically has the ball in his hands and controls it the same as LeBron does. So I think that there's the big transition and the big challenge that Rob Pelinka has is that while he's making all of these moves to win now, while we've got LeBron and AD, he's also got to make that other big move, which is to figure out, okay, how do I get that third superstar into the lineup who is going to end up being the guy to replace LeBron James at such point in time as LeBron does leave the Lakers and retire. I think they're going to go after Giannis like crazy, but it's almost like the Kawhi situation again. If they could instead focus on a great point guard, or a great guard at least. Doesn't necessarily have to be a 10 assist point guard. It could be a combo guard who can deliver 5 assists a game. Somebody, that can really handle that role. But we need to get somebody like that, and that's going to be the secondary challenge that Pelinka's got to somehow accomplish at the same time as he keeps filling in pieces to keep the train that's moving right now staying at the top of the heap. He's got to get that another player in there so that becomes not a 1 or 2 or 3 year window that we're looking at, but a decade-long window that they're looking at for the Lakers being championship contenders.
We'll be back with more of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Needing an edge for your fantasy football team? Listen to the guys at Inside Sports Fantasy Football for insight that will help you reach your league championship. That's Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Check it out today on your favorite podcast outlet. Well, it's been a great conversation, my friend. I really appreciate you being part of it today. Once again, I'm speaking to Laker Tom. He is the man behind Lakerholics.net. You got to be part of the conversation today at Lakerholics.net. But before I turn it over to you with less than 5 minutes left to talk about what's going on with Lakerholics.net, I just wanted to go ahead and mention to everyone out there, if you can, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We would truly appreciate everyone out there listening as far as if you can do that, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can go ahead and give us a great review, like, subscribe, tell a friend if they're a Lakers fan or an NBA fan. Please listen to our show. And if you are really into the NBA draft, you need to check out the over 12, 13, I think even 14. And when we added the latest episode with Rafael Barlow from the NBA Draft Junkies this week, if you are really an NBA draft fan or fanatic or anything like that and into the NBA draft, I have over, like I said, 13, 14 episodes based off the NBA draft that are still relevant right to this day. And you can check it out on the Lakers Fast Break channel.
It's right there for you. It's within the past month or so. It's some great conversations with Rafael Barlow from the NBA DraftJunkies.com. Also as well, Michael Weisenberg from the Stepien and Stone Hansen from DraftSite.com. They're great conversations. I even had them all together for mock drafts of the first and second round. Hopefully we'll be able to do that again once the lottery teams are chosen and all that. However, Adam Silver wants to go ahead and do that. So I'm looking forward to it. You got to check it out today at the Lakers Fast Break. And please, if you can, tell a friend. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. Send us your comments, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com or at LakersFastBreak on Twitter. Laker Tom, if you have any questions, or you just want to go ahead and check out his crazy trade scenarios like he was doing last week, you can go to @LakerTom on Twitter. Tom, before we head on out, my friend, I want to go ahead and give you the opportunity to give an update to the fans out there and the listeners on what's going on at Lakerholics.net.
We've been talking about all of the same things that we've been talking about on the podcast, Gerald. Everybody's sort of anxious to find out what's going to happen with the league and when we're going to get back to games. Everybody's watching all of the Michael Jordan stuff and going through all of those various things. We've been having quite a few posts. I've put up several posts where we're comparing different players, trying to figure out which Laker players would be the one that you'd win to choose to start a franchise. We talked about which 4 candidates that we have for the MLE trade thing, and we've had the 4 candidates that we would want to trade for as guards. So we're sort of keeping that theme. I'm going to be releasing in a couple of days an article that really goes over who is the superstar in today's game most likely to take over the mantle from LeBron James as the best player in the league. So if you enjoy those types of conversations and are looking for some intelligent debate back and forth with other intelligent and rabid fans who are all respectful and so forth, Lakerholics.net is the perfect place for you to go. And we invite you to join us in the conversation anytime. Somebody's almost always online, so that there's always somebody that you can get going into a conversation. And we all are just eager to get back into the NBA season and have the Lakers finish the job that got suspended because of the coronavirus situation.
And once again, that's Lakerholics.net. Be part of the conversation today.
The snow is melting and it's starting to warm.
Is this for the new commercial?
This is the new commercial. We're recording. Why is it you always cut me
off?
Guys, calm down. Let's just start it over.
It's too late. We have to start our show, which is Twist, the weekend sports talk, where you can hear banter like this with sports and interviews. Hear us on the RTF Sports Network, Mondays at 8 Eastern. Also, like our page on RTF Sports Network and check us out at rtfsportsnetwork.com.
What's up, y'all? You know who it is. It's your boy Dylan from On and Off the Field with Durf and Dylan. So I'm just coming to let you know, on the RTF Sports Network, this show will now be live from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. If you go to rtfsportsnetwork.com, you can listen to the show live from there and on our social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram. It's going to be an amazing show that is all about the fans. Also, when you go to rtfsportsnetwork.com, make sure to vote for On and Off the Field as the show of the month for April. If we win that, money is going to charity. You can count on that.
Coming up next here at the 4 p.m. hour is Daily BS with your host, Brian Snow from Snowman in the Morning. Enjoy.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. It's time! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner.
Right there, hold on, right there. Boom, I faked him. Oh, whoa, that was, whoa. I'm back.
But Mama Babo, how you say his name?
I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to drink a Coors Light. Fighting out of the red corner.
I completely dominated that fifth round. That fifth round want me to fight.
From the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Caged In MMA. As you know, I'm your host, Errol Marks, and my co-host, Anthony Anderosi. Remember, you can reach us by going to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You can call us at 631-965-4990. And remember, guys, if you don't have our app, well, guys, download our app. You go to iOS, and you go to, well, iOS is Apple, and you go to WWSRN, or you could do this. You can go to Android and download us by going to search Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Download the app. You can follow us. You can listen to our shows, the clips of our shows. You can read our stories. Shout out to Jillian and our great team right now of social media people. As you know, Jillian and Ricky, and all our writers from Brad, Brandon, George, Bobby, all of them. Shout out to all of them that write our stories and really get our content out there. Mr. Anderosi, what's going on, my friends?
Doing good, buddy. How you been?
I'm tired. As you guys know, we started a little bit late today. We had a couple of technical difficulties, but we have it fixed, and it's up and running. We have a great show lined up for you today. We have Bellator fighter Tara Graf joining us at 6:45. We'll talk about her career, talk about her upcoming fights, and talk about what's going on in mixed martial arts. But before we do that, I want to get into UFC 249. And I right now, we've seen in the last week and a half, we've seen two cards. We saw one, the main event of Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson, which we'll get into in just 1 second. And that was the top of that card. And then there was the, I guess you could say, Wednesday night fights for ESPN, which was very interesting to say the least. But before that, let's go into UFC 249, and me and you have had our thoughts to it. So before I, argue your thoughts to it, what did you think about UFC 249?
Argue my thoughts? I think we're pretty much going to be on the same page with it. It was pretty predictable, with the exception of the main event, which, let's be real, Ferguson blew it. He blew it. That was definitely not the Tony Ferguson you were expecting. That was definitely not the Tony Ferguson anybody was expecting. Homeboy looked like he was waiting for an alien invasion. The only thing missing was him jumping out of the highway, out of his car with his family watching him and such, because I don't know what the hell he was doing. He definitely made Gaethje, and if everybody wants to start drinking the Kool-Aid, they made Gaethje look like
a superstar.
The next big thing.
Mm-hmm.
The next big thing, as if he had, super strength and this and that, rather. And let's be real, it's about opportunity. You blew it. Now you got to go back to the back of the line. And hopefully you can recover from this, or you're going to be going back into obscurity, waiting for the next big thing to come along. So hopefully you could do what these guys did on the Ultimate Fighter fight nights, where you had, I call it, the geriatric push. You had a bunch of guys 40 plus making these young pups look like rookies. So, what's your take of the main event?
My take is I feel bad for Tony Ferguson. I really do. And I think Tony Ferguson is a great fighter. And I'm going to put Jeff on because I know Jeff has his own thoughts of what happened at UFC 249. But I will say this.
That's our Florida correspondent. He was probably on location.
Well, he was
probably
on location.
saw the aliens outside that Ferguson was running around.
I don't know about aliens outside, but I will say...
like I said, he's one step away from Area 51.
I will say that I feel bad for Tony Ferguson because he lost his chance to fight Khabib, and I don't think he'll ever fight Khabib again. And we've said this over and over again. I think he got screwed. And maybe he wasn't ready for this fight, or maybe he just rushed into this fight, or he was fighting... He thought he was fighting Khabib because... I don't know what the heck he was doing. He fought a guy that is a great stand-up fighter, who has a lot of power. And if I was Tony Ferguson, I would have taken Gaethje down to the ground and completely dominated him on the ground. He decided to stand up with him and fight toe-to-toe with him, and that's why he lost the fight. And there is a story coming out that Tony Ferguson, to avoid optimal bone surgery after UFC 249, which is something that you thank God that happened, because now you could see Tony Ferguson coming back maybe in a couple of months and getting back into the octagon and maybe proving himself again. But I feel bad for Tony Ferguson. I really do. Jeff, what do you think?
Man, I'm disappointed in you, Anthony.
Listen, Listen, I was 4 for 5 on the parlay. Okay, Ferguson screwed me. I don't feel bad for Ferguson. I would have been 5 for 5. Your stimulus check would have been doubled, possibly tripled.
I legit asked you. I said, I don't know much about Gates of North. I even called you the expert. I called you an expert. Oh, this was just bad.
Okay, right? listen.
And I said, I don't know much about him. And you're like, yeah, he doesn't even have a chance. And you were like, let's be honest. Maybe he can hit him and knock him out back to death. Dude, Gates steamrolled Ferguson.
And I'm not disagreeing that. Why do you think, as I said, I don't know what the hell he was doing?
Well, I don't think Ferguson knew where he was. I really don't.
Do you think anybody expected this to happen?
No. But that's what's great
let
about
alone
fighting.
this bad. Let alone this bad. He didn't show up. I don't feel bad for him. This was his opportunity. It was his fight to lose.
Well, hold on 1 second. This wasn't his opportunity. His opportunity was against Khabib. He got screwed, and he decided not to run from this fight. He decided to step into the octagon, something that Khabib did not do.
Okay.
And he obviously got his butt whipped.
Okay. But here's the thing. Did anybody put a gun to his head saying he had to do this?
Absolutely not. But again, that wasn't his title shot. He should still have his title shot. Whoever wins the Gaethje Khabib fight, or besides that, or maybe Conor McGregor, or whoever wins that fight against Gaethje and Khabib, then Ferguson should have his opportunity. Ferguson got screwed. He absolutely got screwed on this fight.
He screwed himself.
Why?
Because he didn't show up.
He did show up. The problem was he fought a guy that he wasn't ready for.
What do you mean wasn't ready for? Do you know what that sounds like? Is dealing with Gaethje opposed to Khabib? Khabib is a dominant fighter. Gaethje is not. He's not. Don't get me wrong. Just like any pro fighter in the UFC, yes, you're in that top
Gaethje
percentage.
has more power than Khabib. He has a lot more power than Khabib.
Mr. All-American Tony Ferguson, collegiate All-American, what part of his brain disconnected to say, I'm a wrestler, let me turn into a boxer at this one point? Let me give this guy a chance, knowing he's a stand-up guy. In what possible occasion do I think I have a chance dealing with this kid, rather than just take his ass down, smother him, lay him pray if I have to for 5 rounds, or just get on top of him and beat the hell out of him? He didn't do any of those. He didn't. Okay? He made the choice. Plain and simple. That's why I don't feel bad for him. And here's the thing. If it was a situation, since everybody said, oh, it's so cool you could hear the corners and this and that. Not once did you even hear the stupid-ass coaches tell him, why the hell aren't you taking him down? Not once.
Well, I told you Ferguson runs that corner. He doesn't listen to his coaches. Ferguson is the coach.
So then there you go. I don't feel bad for him. You hire coaches, you don't want to listen to them? Fine. Then don't.
How could you not feel bad for the kid?
Have a water boy in the corner.
How could you not feel bad for the kid when he didn't have to fight this fight?
Then
fought
he
this
shouldn't
fight.
have.
Well, that's again. He was a guy that actually had the balls to get into a ring with Justin Gaethje, who had nothing to lose.
And he lost.
Yeah, he lost. And again, he gets screwed because he lost the fight that he didn't have to fight.
2 hands and a brain.
Did Conor McGregor decide?
Work out.
Did Conor McGregor decide to fight UFC 249? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Because
did they offer him anything?
How do you know that? How do you know? How do you know?
I guarantee you they didn't offer anything.
How do you know? We don't know.
Because the money fight wasn't there, and they're saving him for ticket sales. Because Dana White is a businessman.
Yeah, he's a stupid businessman.
He's not?
He's a stupid
You're telling
businessman.
me he wouldn't... Jeff, are you still there?
He's there.
Jeff?
He's here. He's
Tell
listening.
me if this makes sense. Do you really think Conor McGregor would be wasted on a show where there's no gate, no ticket sales or anything, just pay-per-view money?
So wait a second. You're going to wait. So you're going to wait about, I don't know, a year before Conor McGregor gets into the octagon?
No, July.
July. Oh, there's not going to be any crowds in July either.
How do you know that?
I guarantee you there won't be any crowds.
We just had an empty arena.
And you're going to see that in July as well.
Island.
And you're going to see that in July as well.
You don't know who they're going to allow on Fight
I'm
Island.
telling you right now, they're not going to have a crowd out there in July. They're not.
They could have little rafts out there.
Rafts?
Spectating.
Oh, is that what they're going to be doing, sitting in
rafts? It
rafts?
happens at Candlestick Park.
You're out of your minds.
Well, no kidding. You're out of your mind if you think this is not fair for Tony Ferguson.
It's not fair.
Poor Ferguson. Give me a damn break. He could have just put the screws to Dana White and said, you want to know something? If it's not Khabib ain't fighting, I'm not fighting.
Again,
he could have did it.
Tony Ferguson wasn't going to back away from a fight. He's a real, true fighter. He's not.
And
Khabib.
he lost.
And I don't want to hear Khabib sending him Twitter messages after the fight. Don't worry, you're still a great fighter. Your son's always going to respect you, because he's taking a shot. Khabib is taking a shot at Tony Ferguson because he knows he ducked and weaved Tony Ferguson. He absolutely did, because he could have been there in UFC 249.
We're not disagreeing on that.
Again, that just shows you how big of a you-know-what Khabib is. That's what you see.
But we're not disagreeing.
He didn't step in the octagon, but Ferguson did, and he got his butt whipped because he wasn't ready for a fight.
And I hate to
he
break it
wasn't
to you,
ready for that fight.
And Khabib is not going to fight Gaethje. You know why?
Why?
The new excuse.
No, he's
sorry
fighting.
I'm sorry to say it's a new
excuse.
excuse.
He'll beat Gaethje because he'll be ready to take him down.
He may
will.
beat Gaethje, but he will not fight Gaethje next.
He will fight Gaethje.
There will be something that prevents him to fight Gaethje next. And it's amazing how now it turns into, and I'm sorry to say, and I'm not trying to say he's using this as an excuse, but why not? He's used everything else as an excuse. His father's sick. He's going to leave his father now? He missed the fight to go there when nobody was sick.
Did you see what
so
McGregor wrote?
Miss it?
Did you see what McGregor wrote?
I think it was a nice little
It was a nice,
thing.
That's another shot. McGregor doesn't give a crap about his father.
He doesn't have
He doesn't give a crap about his father. So again, you're seeing Khabib do it to Ferguson, and now Conor McGregor do it to Khabib, and it's becoming a whole world circle of win. I think there should be a round robin fight where you have Khabib and you do a round robin of the guys at the 155 division all the way to whoever is the champion. I really do believe that, because I think Tony Ferguson got screwed on this fight. He really did.
What is the
he
part
lost
of
the
being
fight
screwed?
because he stepped in the ring when he wasn't training for that fighter. This guy was training for the last 3 months to fight Khabib. He's a different style of fighter. There was a complete mismatch because he thought he could stand up with Gaethje because he didn't watch enough. I guarantee you he didn't watch enough video of Gaethje. He just wanted to.
You need that much video on Gaethje?
Absolutely.
Now here's the thing. What the hell is video going to tell you? What's video going to tell you?
As a stand-up fighter, a lot.
Okay, but here's the thing.
You know about fighting. You know about fighting.
I do. And here's the thing. That's why I don't buy this BS about watching video or anything like that. He decided to get into the ring. He lost. Sorry, boo-hoo. You screwed up. You're a wrestler. You didn't wrestle. Flat out. If he would have went in there and took him down, we all know how dominant position is when it comes to judging. And hate to break it to you, but the judges sucked on this card. Plain and simple.
I can't wait to hear what you're going to say about the co-main event.
They were sucker enough to get taken down and sit there and not do anything and ultimately, ride out a decision, which he should have did. Instead, he didn't. He gave Gaethje the opportunity to stay into the fight. Plain and simple. If you're not going to listen to your coaches, get a bunch of Bobby Boucher water boys to just sit there and just be yes men. Because unfortunately, this is not the way you're going to become a champion or hold a damn belt. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. So he could go boo-hoo all he wants. Now he's not going to get bone orbital. He's not going to get the orbital bone fixed. Great. It's going to go snap crackle.
It doesn't need to be fixed. It's fine.
Doesn't need to be fixed.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Whatever the hell is going on. Plain and simple.
It doesn't require surgery.
Tony Ferguson is now no longer on the table. Plain and simple. It's Gaethje. It's
Eric Clark, Tony got screwed. I agree with you, Eric. I absolutely agree with you.
But
I think he got
what
screwed.
Is it that got screwed?
Because he was. Listen, he stepped in the octagon.
He chose to.
He chose to because right now they didn't have a main event. So what he did is he stepped up to the table, something Khabib did not do. Khabib didn't stand up to the table. This is the champion. If you're a champion, you stand up as a champion. Get in the octagon and fight like a man. Stop being a P-U-S-S-Y. And you want to say pussy. That's what he was.
That's the problem. He stood up. That's the problem. He stood up and he got the hell beat out of him.
Because he wasn't ready for the fight.
I mean, is your argument, Anthony, honestly, is your argument that the training doesn't matter, that you can just, as long as you worked out and whatever, that you don't need to prepare for an opponent?
At this level, here's the thing.
Anybody? Is that the argument you're trying to make?
The argument that I have is you do not need 12 weeks of one style of training to deal with one fighter. It doesn't work that way, because just like anything else in a lot of different sports, things change in there and you have to adapt. Plain and simple. This kid is standing. You're a wrestler. He didn't attempt any shots. So if he didn't get stuffed, there's no reason to say I'm giving up on wrestling. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm so adamant about this. He
Oh,
had
you're
the
adamant,
opportunity.
all right.
You're damn right I am.
You are.
Because this is that BS that we usually hear with all this, oh, he didn't deserve to win. I got screwed. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hooed. You didn't, if you knew you were going to have such a goddamn problem with this and you were waiting for Khabib for the last 5 years, okay, you've been training for Khabib for 5 years. You still went in there against other guys like Cowboy and everything. You didn't have a problem beating them. But now because you lost, now it's boo-hoo.
He had 3 months to trade for Cowboy. 3 months.
So?
He had 2 weeks to train for Justin Gaethje.
You knew Khabib wasn't. Khabib was in Russia in Valentine's Day.
All right, so Ferguson stepped up to the plate and he wanted to fight. And now you want to know something? I think it shows you how big of a man Ferguson is to step into an octagon with a guy who had nothing to lose and everything to win, and Ferguson had everything to lose. And you know damn well he had nothing to lose, Justin Gaethje. Nothing.
No, he didn't.
You got to say that Dana White didn't really do him any favors either, because Khabib is more of a wrestler, and if you've spent time preparing for a wrestler and then you get a stand-up fighter like Gaethje, like you've really been thrown off.
But Jeff, what stopped him? What stopped him from shooting in? What stopped him from shooting in? The guy's standing there. He's a boxer. His legs are very close together. He's good for a double leg that you could drive right through him, push him up against the cage, pull one leg out, post up, and everything like that. So as easily as I explained it to you, and just like that, why didn't he even attempt to wrestle? Instead, he's doing some weird spinning around crap. Looked like he was getting ready for Kung Fu Theater. So what? That's what was going to be Khabib? Tell me that's what's going to be Khabib. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Ferguson.
Are you just bitter because you gave Justin Gaethje no shot?
No, I'm bitter because he lost crybaby crap, because he screwed up my parlay.
That's exactly why he's pissed off, because his parlay got screwed.
I don't blame Justin Gaethje or Tony Ferguson. I blame Anthony Andriozzi.
Do you know what's amazing? This is why Jeff is one of my favorite people.
Oh,
he said my last name correctly.
I said Andriosi.
He didn't say Andriosi. He said Andriosi. Amazing. Do you see the type of intelligent callers we have?
I grew up in Rhode Island with all you guineas everywhere. Like, I know what a Dorento is. I know.
And he learns. And he learns. He's an educated fan.
Oh, and I'm not educated? What are you trying to say that?
Oh, Christ. Are we going to go down the chopped liver thing? Here we go.
Now he's taking shots at me, Jeff. Oh, my God.
You don't know how to say anyone's name.
I don't. I'm very bad with names. I've admitted it.
I think he actually has a bias towards hockey players' names, though.
No, I'm actually very, very bad at pronouncing hockey players' names.
Errol's on his third attempt at Rosetta Stone English.
I'm a little lost with that, too. But I do believe that Tony Ferguson got screwed on this fight. But again, he decided to step into the octagon and fight Justin Gaethje. I just feel bad for him because, unfortunately, he's not going to get that opportunity against Khabib, which everybody really couldn't wait for. And now all of a sudden, now you're talking about Nate Diaz, you're talking about Conor McGregor, you're talking about Justin Gaethje. That's what you're talking about. You're not even talking about. Tony Ferguson falls all the way to 6 or 7.
And here's the thing. You're probably going to see Ferguson have to fight possibly a Dustin Poirier.
He'll beat Dustin Poirier.
I'm not saying that he won't. I'm just simply saying the next matchup that he'll probably have, you'll probably see him have to do something like that before they just throw him right in the mix.
I just think it's messed up. And Ferguson's always gotten the bad stick. Always gotten the bad stick by the UFC. I feel bad for the guy, but he also believes that aliens are going to conquer the world, and he leaves.
And obviously, he thought the same damn thing last week. So
I don't believe what
he
you're
was
saying.
running around that damn ring like Ricky Bobby with an imaginary fire on him.
Well,
it was amazing.
Again, I feel bad for the kid because I do believe that he should have the opportunity to fight Khabib, and now. You sit back and you see Dana White. Dana White's laughing to the bank because I don't really think he likes Tony Ferguson. I really don't. And he's happy that Tony Ferguson's never going to fight Khabib because Khabib has been ducking and weaving him for the last 6 years. And he's going to keep ducking and weave him until he does fight him. And by then, Ferguson is going to be washed up and he's not going to be ready for that fight either. So I just feel bad that this kid doesn't get his real shot. He has been working to get that title shot.
Now,
he
when you
went
say you feel bad about that, I agree with you. Not, I feel bad that he got screwed in this fight. So we can agree to disagree. But, yes, we both feel bad that he will never fight Khabib ever. At least not on this planet. So, which might bode well for him. Because he's already on frickin' Saturn. That's obvious.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Jeff, what do you have to say about that?
You know, I don't have much to say about it. You know, I laughed
Arrow.
out at Anthony and blamed him for losing my parlay, and I'm sorry.
I got another parlay coming.
Really was,
got another parlay coming.
It really was my fault I lost the parlay because, I mean, I allowed myself to believe that you could possibly be an expert, and that's on me.
So when he goes 5 for 5 on this parlay, then I'm an expert again.
Oh, man.
Just the way it goes.
Oh,
You're only as good as the last money you
I
make.
specifically asked you about Gaethje, and you were your mind was in a pretzel. I don't know where you were on that one.
Yeah, he's a little lost. He really is. But, again, I feel...
We're all focusing on those fights, but can we talk for a second about how good Greg Hardy?
What are you doing over there? What are you, swimming or something?
Say that again, Jeff.
I am outside. I need to have a burn down a smoke here.
No, what'd you say about the last... Instead of complaining about those fights, what were you saying?
Can we talk for a second about how Greg Hardy is starting to actually look pretty good fighting?
Well, Greg Hardy, he looked better. I don't know about good. He looked better. Greg Hardy, and you want to know something?
He was a defensive end, and then all of a sudden he showed up one day and called himself a fighter, and his first few fights were clearly mismatches. But now he's actually starting to fight fighters and win.
Well, DeCastro was a decent contender. DeCastro was a decent contender. That first round, he gave Hardy some problems.
Until he listened to Daniel Cormier on the sidelines.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard in my entire life, especially because Castro broke his foot. So in terms of Hardy adapting of not getting kicked anymore, I'm glad how Hardy
Finally,
was,
I thought how to check a kick.
Hardy was even though he's got American Top Team over there in his corner.
Oh my God!
But the voice of reason is DC. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the perfect guy. That's the perfect guy to listen to, by the way. Perfect guy. Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier is a wrestler. That's what he is.
Daniel Cormier was waiting for Stipe to get stripped of his title so he can set up a vacated bout. I'm sorry, a bout for a vacated belt against Nagao and him. But he didn't say anything about a rematch with Stipe.
And I realized it was like an undercard fight and it wasn't part of like the main pay-per-view kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
But I got to give it to Vincente Luque. He lumped up Nico Price.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Swell up like that in a long time.
Yep.
Well, Joanna, she had a real bad contusion on her face, man. She was.
I mean, but Nico
bad.
Price's face was just completely rearranged, dude.
Absolutely. You know, I'm just, to me, I felt like the card was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I love the kid Mitchell. I really do. I've said this over and over again. I like this kid. I don't know until he fights a big top contender. We'll see what he can do against a top contender, but I love what I saw when he was in the octagon. I love his ground game, and you could say whatever you want, Anthony. He tapped out a black belt. And he didn't just tap him out.
Mitchell, didn't he fight that kid Rosa? Because I was impressed.
He fought Rosa.
Yes.
I thought Mitchell,
He basically controlled Rosa for 3
Mitchell
rounds.
kept trying to submit Rosa, and then Rosa kept like flipping all the submissions he tried.
He did, but Rosa is he's a bona fide black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Mitchell's not even a purple belt. I mean, that guy's not even a purple belt.
Mitchell is just a grappler.
He is a great
He's just
grappler.
a grappler.
He is
and
a great grappler.
And here's to show how dominant he is. You had a 30-24 fight. 30-24 does not happen. He had 3 10-8 rounds. 3 10-8 rounds is, as I've said before, the judge's underhanded way of telling the judge's underhanded way of telling the referee this fight shouldn't be happening. This fight should not be happening.
He's a judge, not an expert.
No, I'm in the non-expert Hall of Fame. That's what happens. So.
Jeff, why don't you call back?
It was really disappointing to get to like 11:30 at night, and I was like, "That's it, it's over." I'm like, I put $250 down on my parlay.
And you up to that point, you were 4 for 4, right?
What's that?
Up to that point, you were 4 for 4.
Buddy, I was like, I'm gonna love this. I'm gonna cash $5,000. You know, like you put $250 on the parlay, you're doing pretty darn good. right? I get there, I'm like, oh, dude, Ferguson. They're like, Gaethje has no shot. Why? Because I allowed myself to believe an expert told me something, right? And I was like, oh, this is like money in the bank. I'm loving this. And I'm really just waiting for you to PayPal me now my refund.
In all honesty, let's be real. If 25 on that five fighter parlay, if $25 got you, how much did you put down? $250. $250. So he was looking at like $3,500.
David Gross says never seen a 30-24 match. He's never seen that before.
And Dave Gross would know. Dave Gross has been a judge in MMA for quite a while, WK, ISKA, and I don't think he's ever given. And Dave, I don't think you've ever had the opportunity to give a 30-24 round. I don't think any of us have.
That's how dominant Mitchell was. He was very impressive. Very, very impressive. I was very impressed.
I think what you guys should both do is really go back and listen to last week's show and really see how emphatic Mr. Andriozzi was about how Gaethje didn't have a chance.
I know how emphatic I was. I spent a good 5 minutes of saying, even though the unlikely chance, there is a puncher's chance, it would never happen. I believe I said that, correct?
I think you even went further. You were like, don't do it.
Did I swear on my life, possibly?
I think you might have.
Possibly. That's how disappointing I am actually with myself, just to let you know.
How emphatic you were about the whole thing. And to be honest, I mean, Errol just dominates you now. You're no longer the expert.
Well, I will say this. When I talk to Jeff off air, he says he loves you. He thinks you're great. He really does.
He does.
He really does.
I'm sure he does.
But
So
he's
when
kind
he
of
goes-
upset at you.
When he goes 5 for 5 on this one, because the odds are even better on this one, just letting you know, Jeff. All right, so your 250 on this one will actually be like $5,000.
I take all 5 favorites in this one, too.
No, I didn't. I actually didn't. You'll see. You'll see. Go to the Instagram right now. You'll see it on the Instagram right now. I actually posted it already. I believe you have, 3 favorites and two
For an
underdogs.
Italian guy, you're pretty shit at running numbers here. Like, your handicapping is way off.
He's not a betting man. When he started the show, he says, I only bet like $2-3. Don't tell my wife.
That was on Daily Fantasy. Daily Fantasy. That was on Daily Fantasy too.
And now all of a sudden he's. Go ahead.
See, I have a separate account for my gambling, right? Like, I take, whatever I get, I put a little aside in a separate bank account for gambling. And, and that has stayed true even during this COVID period. So I had, built up a little equity there, a little extra equity than normal, because obviously no gambling. And, I trusted you, Anthony. And honestly, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Jeff.
I love how he goes with the disappointed, because that's going to be worse than being angry. He's treating me like the teenager, like hearing from his father. We don't hate you. We're not upset with you. We're not going to punish you. We're just very disappointed.
No, I think the disappointment comes from like allowing myself to be fooled that you knew what you were talking about. I should have known better. This one's on me.
Don't worry. I will persuade you enough to get fooled again and take my 5-fighter parlay tonight.
Tomorrow.
Well, who are you taking in this fight?
Hold on, Jeff.
We'll get to that.
We're going to get to that. We have to get our special guest on the show. Call back after our guest, okay?
I believe that's what they call a tease in the radio business.
That's right.
No, it's called, we got the guest waiting and she's going to get pissed. That's what it's called in the radio business, and I'm not a radio guy.
Stay tuned and actually call up after, and you can we can argue that point for Saturday's fights.
What expert would I be listening to if I were to stay tuned?
Jeff, stay tuned for that too. Jeff, stay tuned for that too. You just don't know. We're like the shell game right now. It's not. You don't know.
All right, Jeff. We'll talk to you soon. Jeff from Tampa.
See, the difference is you get pissed off. I laugh.
Well, I don't get pissed off.
Last week you were getting ready to kill someone.
Oh, stop! I don't really take.
You
Jeff
took a commercial
serious
break
at all.
and then you ran around with a knife.
Oh, get out of here! I never did. That is such a you-know-what. Crock of you-know-what. Anyways, up next, our special guest, very well known in the MMA world, and she's a Bellator fighter, Tara Graf, here with me and Anthony Andorosi. Yes.
There
Anthony,
we go. There we go. You
Listen,
got goosebumps.
listen.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah, I'll give you goosebumps.
Look at my
I'll
hairy,
give you
skinny arm. I got
goosebumps.
goosebumps.
I'll give you a rear naked chokehold during the break. That's your goosebump. And when she gets on the phone, she's going to be like, "Where's Anthony? He's sleeping in the corner." Up next, Taragraph. As you guys know, you can reach us and call us at 631-965-4990. Again, the number is 631-965-4990. And follow us by going to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Up next, Taragraph here on the great Caged In MMA.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. It's time! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner.
Right there, hold on, right there. Boom, I faked him. Oh!
He dominated that fifth round. That fifth round want me to fight.
From the bottom of my heart,